What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I'm your host for today, Simon Villanoz, aka Coach V, and we got another NAIA women's flag football recap here. This is week 7 of this 2023 season. We are for sure halfway through the season at this point. I know last week I said we were about halfway. At this point, we are definitely a little bit over halfway through, and so we got a lot to talk about. Another pretty jam-packed week of games here. We're going to obviously recap all of those, talk players of the game / playmaker of the week, talk power rankings, and then I also want to go ahead and give a little sneak preview to the front runners for our end of the year awards, and some players that we are also considering for all playmaker in our all freshman team, which will be finalized after the season. But this way, just so you know who is going to be standing out here moving forward and who we're definitely keeping an eye on as the season progresses on. Let's get it started and start in the Sun Conference here. We had a game on March 29th, 2023 between Weber and Florida Memorial here. Weber having a bit of a tough week playing the number 1 team in the country as of last week in Thomas, losing to them 33-6, looking to bounce back here. And then you got FMU still chasing a potential Sun Conference win. They haven't had one yet in their program history. They've gotten really close, but they haven't had one yet. And so will this be the game? We'll see. Let's go ahead and hop into it. Weber, they go ahead and get the football here. Sam Wilson in at quarterback, checks it down to Emma Balacco, who goes and gets them the first down to get the party started. Later on, third down here, Wilson hits Caitlin Sigmundy on the post, who gets about 20. That's enough to get them across midfield and a first down. Once again, it's third down here. Wilson throws the seam to Breasia Robinson, but there is a penalty thrown on FMU here. The pass was incomplete, by the way, and it appears to be giving Weber a first down in the red zone. And so there you go, Weber being productive here to get it started. But unfortunately, an incompletion, a dropped pass, and then another incompletion / pass breakup. Erica Johnson making a nice pass breakup in the back of the end zone on third down would eventually bring up fourth down here. And on fourth down, they go ahead and it looks like they're trying that red zone play they like a lot, where they hand it off to Sigmundy and then she throws it. And so that's what they do. They put Sigmundy in motion. She gets it on the end around, looking to throw it, ends up throwing it back to Sam Wilson, who throws it into the end zone here, aiming for a receiver. A very tight window, but Erica Johnson's there with great coverage to go ahead and force a pass breakup. So there you go. A tough ending for this Weber offense, but definitely a good break and a good stop by this FMU defense. Now, on offense, FMU trying to get something going here, but just starting a little cold here. The first throw was an overthrow. The second play was a direct snap, but it was just dropped, which was interesting. And so that's a dead ball there. And then on third down here, Stanton is getting rushed. Haley Stanton, the starting quarterback for FMU, is getting rushed by Jada Dillard, and she tries to get it to just shy Christie, but it looks like the wind might have taken this one away just a little bit here, and so it is incomplete. And so just like that, FMU unfortunately goes 3 and out. Now, Weber, they get the ball back, looking to make something happen. Still a tied game here. Let's go to third down and 4 here. Sam Wilson goes up the seam to Caitlin Sigmundy, who gets free and gets about 20 yards for a first down past the midfield. Good throw by Wilson and a great catch by Sigmundy to get this drive jump started here. Following that, Wilson checks it down to Emma Balacco, who then pitches it to Kayla Burrows, who gets a couple more yards. That makes it 1st and 10 now in the red zone. Now, let's go ahead and fast forward to the second quarter here. Last play in the red zone. It is 4th down, looking to get something going here. Wilson finds Hayden Roop on the slant, I believe, who scores the Weber touchdown, making it 6-0 and giving them the early lead here. Extra point is no good on that. So there you go. But still have the 6-0 lead. Now FMU, they get back on offense here. And just a couple more struggles here. A direct snap to Jennifer Bethel goes for a couple yards. That's good. But on second down, pass deflected by Breasia Robinson. Third down, you have another dropped pass. And so that's another 3 and out here. At this point, FMU hasn't had a first down in the game yet. On the other hand, you have Weber, and they're getting started here. Wilson goes ahead and threads the needle to Caitlin Sigmundy, who has great body control and stops and catches this throw and gets a couple more yards here for a huge 20-yard gain for a first down past midfield once more. Following that, Wilson throws the out route to Caitlin Sigmundy, who then pitches it to her high school teammate / college teammate Emma Balaco, who goes ahead and gets the first down, putting them in the red zone. So here we go, third trip in the red zone. Weber looking to go up by 2 scores, but on first down, Sam Wilson sacked by Deja Fanning, who's having a great season, by the way. And so that brings up second down here. And on second down, Wilson throws it, but it's a drop pass. And then on third down here, once more, Wilson evades the sack this time, but goes ahead and scrambles for a couple yards. Obviously doesn't score, so that brings up fourth down here on fourth down. Wilson tries to find Caitlin Sigmundy, but the throw is a little bit behind, and so it is knocked down by, I believe it's Tiffany Walker on this one. I wrote down Sarah Walker, but I'm pretty sure it was Tiffany Walker. And so that is a turnover on downs. Now FMU, they're trying to get something going here. 7:24 left in the first half. Haley Stanton in at quarterback. She goes ahead and throws the out route to Onisha Gibbs, who gets a solid gain for about 6 or so yards. Second down here, Stanton throws the out route back to Gibbs again. That's good for a first down, the first of the game. Following that, a couple plays later here, it's third down here. Haley Stanton throws towards the right sideline to Alexis Nelson, who makes a nice catch for the first down past midfield. So here we go. They are rolling just a bit here. But let's go ahead and go to third down on this same drive. Stanton forced to check it down to Jennifer Bethel, who only gets about 2 yards there. Jada Dillard actually almost got the sack, applying a lot of pressure here. And so that brings up fourth down and 7 here. Here we go. Stanton drops back, but Jada Dillard is coming for her and goes ahead and applies the pressure, forcing Stanton to throw this one a little early here, but Zoe Mello goes ahead and gets the pass breakup for Weber anyways, and so that ends up being a turnover on down. So another drive that just doesn't go FMU's way. Now, following this, not too much more happens in this second quarter. Weber would get the ball, but another Deja Fanning sack would eventually force a 3 and out. With about a minute left, FMU would get the ball. They would get a first down on a curl route to Erica Johnson, but would go ahead and basically stutter to a stop following a sack by Jada Dillard. So there you go there. Breasia Robinson on fourth down would get a pick, but at this point there's only 16 or so seconds left here. And yeah, I mean, nothing else really happens. Wilson does find Burrows on the curl, who then pitches it to Roop, who breaks a tackle and almost goes to the house, but is eventually stopped short. And so let's go ahead and bring it up here in the third quarter. Weber still leading 6-0 at half, so very much still a close game. Florida Memorial go ahead and makes a switch at quarterback. They sub in Eunice Montgomery at quarterback to see what she could do, but this drive doesn't start super well here. First, a deflection by Hayden Roop here. Then a throw to the flat is stopped for basically no gain by Emma Blanco. And then on third down, Montgomery goes over the middle, but the throw is behind her receiver. And so once more, that is another 3 and out. Now, they punt the ball and it's tipped at the line. It rolls just past midfield, and so that's where Weber takes over here. Wilson finds Breasia Robinson on the out route, who gets them the first down past midfield. following a drop on first down. On second down, Wilson tries to go deep. It looks like she's going for the post route, splitting the safeties, but she does throw this route just a little bit too far down the middle here, and so it is incomplete. Third down here, Wilson evades the rusher, and scrambles before pitching it, but it does hit the ground. So that brings up a tough 4th and 10 situation where once more Wilson goes deep up the seam to Robinson, but it is knocked down by Erica Johnson, who's there. So that's another turnover on downs. Not able to extend this lead as Weber is buttering here on offense, not able to extend it. But luckily enough, FMU is also sputtering as once more they go 3 and out again. Montgomery's still at quarterback. Their best play of that drive was a 4-yard swing route to Bethel, but a Jasmine Henry sack would go ahead and kill it. And so Weber once more, they get the ball here. And so they're trying to get something going. They want to get a comfortable lead. And so that goes ahead and starts with Wilson finding Hayden Roop on the out route. That's a first down to get things going. A couple plays later, third down here, Sam Wilson goes deep, and Caleb Burrows gets free down the right sideline and just burns the defender here in one-on-one and goes 40-plus yards to the house, making it 12-0 here for Weber. Following that, there is a drop on the extra point, and so it's only a 12-0 lead. Now, FMU, not out of it. It's only 12-0 here. If they want a chance at winning the game, they got to make their move right now. And so here we go. Montgomery, still in that quarterback, goes deep and finds Erica Johnson, who makes the jump ball catch for about 20 yards and a first down. So here we go, FMU with some momentum. Following that, Montgomery then scrambles and gets free and goes and gets the first down past midfield. So 2 first downs in a row. Following that, Montgomery goes back over the middle and finds Erica Johnson, who catches it between the safeties for a first down, putting them in the red zone here. This FMU offense red hot all of a sudden, cooking with some fire here in the red zone. Here's what happens next. Montgomery goes down the left side and finds Ronisha Gibbs, who makes the catch and falls into the end zone. Nice though, good catch here, making it 12-6 here. On the extra point though, Montgomery would throw the out route to Erica Johnson. That makes it 12-7 here. So less than basically a 1-score game once more. If FMU scores again, they would actually take the lead because they did get this extra point. And so that's basically how the third quarter ends here. Well, sorry, there was one play here for Weber before the third quarter ends. Sam Wilson goes ahead and finds Burrows on the out route, who puts a move on a defender, freezing her before taking off and getting more yards for about 20-plus yards past midfield. That one for a first down. And so there you go. Let's go ahead and go into the fourth quarter here. It's about third down here. Wilson finds Burrows in the flat. Goes for only 3 yards, not a first down. So it is fourth down. But unfortunately, Weber, they try a hard count here, and they get hit with the false start penalty, so that moves them back. And so here we go, fourth down. They're going for it. They are pushed back a couple of yards, though, following that penalty. Wilson airs it out deep for Caleb Burrows, but it is overthrown and incomplete, not able to connect there. So that is a turnover on downs. Now, FMU coming off a very good drive, the last one here, finally getting something going. Here's how this drive goes down. Montgomery throws it to the flat to Erica Johnson. That gets about 2. Following that here, a couple plays later, let's go ahead and actually go to third down here. Montgomery goes over the middle to Victoria Francois, who gets them a first down. Good throw here on a nice tight spiral, and then a good catch as well to get the chains moving. Following that, Montgomery goes over the middle again to Josiah Christie on the post, who basically tips it back to herself. It looks like it's a little bit of a low pass, but tips it back to herself, makes the play, catches the ball, and goes ahead and gets a huge 20-plus yard play to put FMU in the red zone. And so here we go with a chance to take the lead here. Unfortunately, that pauses real quick as a false start would push FMU back. But on that next play here, well, I guess it's still the first play of this new set of downs. First down, Montgomery fades the pressure before scrambling out right and getting good yards for about 6. That brings up second down here, where Montgomery goes over the middle, and Breasia Robinson basically steals a pick from Caleb Burrows, and then goes ahead and gets a solid return here. Regardless, both Robinson and Caleb Burrows were there over the middle, and this was just a very tough mental error to make here, as that kind of killed all the momentum in that drive, and obviously so far in this game. Now Weber, they still have to put this one away here. They're only up by like 6, and so here is what happens next. Actually, excuse me, they're only up by 5, and so here's what happens next. Wilson finds Caleb Burrows on the out route, who puts a couple moves on the defenders and gets some good additional yardage for about a 20-yard play. Caleb Burrows in her bag for this one. But once more, this Weber offense sputters just a little bit here, and so that brings up third down here. And on third down, Sam Wilson tries to throw the dig route to Caitlin Sigmundy, but it is well covered by Ronisha Gibbs, and so that forces a punt. Real tough break here for Weber. But for FMU, they got 4:40 left after their defense came up big. But the drive starts a little slow. It actually starts with this 4th and 4 play here. A couple plays in. Montgomery throws the out route though, but Kayla McDuffie falls down. I honestly couldn't tell if she was shoved or what happened. The announcer definitely felt like she wasn't touched on that play. But regardless, the refs go ahead and throw a PI that would give FMU a first down. And so here we go, 2:40 left. Montgomery then throws the post route to Erica Johnson, who makes a great possession catch here, having to twist her body around backwards for this one. That goes for about 19 yards, and so that brings up 2nd and 1 here. Montgomery just goes ahead and scrambles for the first down. That gets them past midfield. Now let's go a play later. It is 2nd down here. Montgomery goes deep down the left side, but it goes off of Hayden Roop's hands for what would be an interception if she caught it. And so 3rd down, 1:37 left here. Montgomery just does a little bit too much, tries to throw it to a receiver across her body with Jasmine Henry applying pressure, and it is almost picked off here by Emma Balaco. And so that brings up 4th down. I did make a note here. I said you have to hit your check down on this play. She had her check down open. She just didn't throw it, which was interesting. And so 4th down here, Montgomery goes over the middle to Erica Johnson on the post, but she is not able to bring it in here. Just a really tough drop to have. And so that's a turnover on downs. And Weber, they just need one first down to get. And on 3rd and 1, Wilson throws a tough out route to Denise Garcia, who gets them the first down. That ends the game. Weber winning 12-7 here. FMU once again losing another close one here in the Sun Conference. Let me go ahead and talk about stats for this game. Sam Wilson, 47 attempts, 24-47, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, was sacked twice, was also their lead rusher with about 13 yards here. At receiver, your player of the game is Caleb Burrows. She led all receivers with 7 receptions, 136 yards, and a touchdown with a long of 51 on that one. And then on defense as well, Caleb Burrows also had 6 tackles. So there you go. That is your player of the game. Now continuing to talk about stats, Caitlin Sigmundy, 4 receptions, 61 yards. And then Emma Blanco and Hayden Roop both had 26 yards. Now on defense, Caleb Burrows obviously led with 6. Zoe Mello right behind her with 5 in a pass breakup. Jada Dillard had a sack. Jasmine Henry each had a sack. Breasia Robinson, it says here, had 2 interceptions as well, which are also pretty big, and 3 tackles. So there you go there. Now for FMU, it's a little interesting here. So Haley Stanton obviously started, went 8 of 15, 61 yards and a pick. Also took a tough sack there. Eunice Montgomery had a little bit of a slow start, but actually really picked it up going into that last quarter there. 10 of 20, 145 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Also did take 2 sacks. She also ran for about 12 Yeah, 12 total net yards, I want to say. Or, sorry, 6 net yards there. The lead receiver, Erica Johnson, 7 receptions, 93 yards. Renisha Gibbs, 6 for 63 yards and a touchdown there, the lone one for Florida Memorial. And then it was Sarah Walker with 6 tackles that led the squad. So, boom, there you go there. Definitely a tough game for FMU. This was a winnable one for sure here. If you're Weber, it's a little bit of a scare, but you still got the win. I think at this point, that's all that matters, is they do play a double header, or not a double header, sorry, a back-to-back here. They played on this day and then the following day. So there you go. And then with FMU, we'll talk more about them in the power rankings. Now let's go ahead and talk about some KCAC play, Ottawa versus Cottey here. This really wasn't that close of a game, to be honest with you, so I'll try to keep it relatively short. Once again, looks like Angie Cruz was out for Cottey, so they were a little short-handed. Interesting enough, they started with Jennifer Haberstock in at quarterback, and I believe Amaya Carrillo was still on the field, but probably playing running back or receiver here. And it doesn't go super well on third down here on the first drive. Haberstock throws a pick to Abby Brown, but Abby Brown makes this a pick 6, returns it to the house here. A out route from Madison Carrera to Bailey Hodgins would make it 7-0, just like that. So just a really tough go here for Cottey to start, but it doesn't get too much easier. They go ahead and put Karula back in at quarterback, but not able to get too much here. Does get a nice little throw on the out route to Tanaya Bolden. We get some close to a first down, but Karula is stopped short on a scramble by DJ Paris, and then on third down, there's an incompletion, so that brings up a 3-and-out. But on the punt, it snapped, and it is dropped here by the punter, and so Ottawa actually starts in the red zone here. And to start here, Madison Carrera goes ahead and finds Bailey Hodgins on the deep out route to make it 13-0. Extra point is no good, so already taking a very, very early lead. Now, Cottey, they do get a first down to start this drive, and out route to Jojo Johnson to get them going, but sacked by DJ Paris kind of puts them in a tough 3rd and 18 situation. And on 3rd and 18, Karula goes deep to Johnson here, to Joliet Johnson here, who is open, but unfortunately it just comes up as a drop here, which is tough, and so once more they are forced to punt it. Now Ottawa, they go ahead and get a big first down to get them past midfield on a Carrera to Hodgins curl route. Following that here, Carrera throws it to Maya Quinn, who looks to pass it, but just takes off and gets the first down, putting them in the red zone here. Ottawa, though, they do struggle just a little bit. It does come down to a 4th down play here. A delay of game does push them back even more, so that hurts. It looks like they try an end around here, and on the end around, they try to throw it on the run, but it's pretty well covered, so it's a turnover on downs. Let's go ahead and go into the second quarter here. Once more, the struggles continue on offense for Cottey. They go 3-and-out here, suffering another dropped pass. A little bit of a case of the drops for Cottey here in recent games, which is real tough. Now for Ottawa, they keep it going here. Carrera throws the out route for a first down. That puts them past midfield. But once more, does come down to a 4th down play here. On 4th and 9, Carrera goes deep, but it is broken up. That's a turnover on down. So some early struggles by Ottawa here, but doesn't really seem like they're phased. They're up by a solid amount. Definitely very comfortable on the sideline, which is good. You want to have good vibes when you're on the road like this in Cottey, which is where they're at, by the way. Now, Cottey get the ball again, scramble, goes for about 3 yards. Second down, it's an incompletion, though. Third down, Karula throws the out to Tanaya Bolden, who makes the catch here, but is just short. That brings up 4th and 3, and once more, they have to punt it. Cottey, I believe, has only had 1 first down so far in this game, but some drops and incompletions. Tough throws have just made it hard to sustain a drive. Now, Ottawa, they're looking to go ahead and really, just put this thing away, and that's what they do here. Carrera takes off scrambling, puts on a couple nifty moves here, goes ahead and gets some past midfield for first down on a scramble of about 20. But once more, it is 4th and 6 here on the edge of the red zone. Here's what happens. Madison Carrera takes off left and tiptoes down the sideline, getting the first down, putting them in the red zone. And then following that, Carrera throws the dig route to Tatiana Dos Santos for a touchdown, making it 19-0. Carrera then comes back over the middle on the extra point to throw to Alyssa Linkus. That makes it 21-0. This game is basically over at this point. Ottawa beating Cottey 41-0 in this one, which was really not a close game at all here. Cottey just struggling with some drops and just maybe not being super sharp, and obviously not having Angie Cruz also hurts as well as far as versatility when it comes to play calling. And so there you go. Let's go over some stats though. Madison Carrera, 13 of 22, 173 yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. She also had another 64 rushing yards on 7 attempts there. Led the team both in passing and rushing there. Now at receiver, spread the ball around pretty well. Jaslyn Camacho, though, her lead receiver with 3 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Lissa Linkus right behind her with 2 receptions and 47. And then Bailey Hodgins going to work, 4 receptions, 35 yards, and a touchdown. Tatiana Dos Santos and Madeline Scalisi also having receiving touchdowns in this game. Then finally on defense, DJ Paris, real big in this one in her return, 4 tackles and a sack. Hope Humes also had a sack. And then as far as interceptions go, Abby Brown had that big time pick 6. Suzanne Kaufman had a pick. And then Farron Malif had an interception as well. And then for Cottey, like I said, just struggles. Maya Karula, 8 of 21, only 35 yards to throw a pick here. It looks like Jolia Johnson also threw a pick at one point, her only pass attempt of the game. And then Jennifer Haberstock, only 2 pass attempts, but did throw that pick 6 to start here. At receiver, no one over 20 yards. Jolia Johnson with 3 receptions, 18, and Tanaya Bolden with 3 and 17. Only 8 completions this entire game, which obviously you can't win games with only 8 completions here. Defense, not too bad. Shamise Lee, 7 tackles here. Kirion Cloyd had a sack in this one. Both Jolia Johnson and Daniela Goodrich with 4 tackles each. Tanaya Bolden also had 4 tackles. And so once more, Ottawa wins, which I feel like is pretty much expected at this point. But for Cottey, I mean, you definitely always got to put your best foot forward here. And I don't know if that was really their best. They are in a little bit of a slump here. I am not even going to lie. Just, you can't live off of 8 receptions. You just can't. Obviously, some of it is Ottawa playing really good defense, but, I watched the game. There are definitely a number of plays where, they were just drops, or they just weren't super accurate throws. And so, Cottey, they're going to take a little bit of a break here, refocus. I believe they have one more game this weekend, or this week as well, which we'll talk about later. At the time I'm recording this, it's March 31st, by the way, so there you go there. But once again, Ottawa wins big, 41-0. Oh, player of the game, I think it's pretty obvious. Madison Carrera, 173 yards, 4 touchdowns, 64 yards rushing. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah. Now let's go ahead and move on to a game from March 30th here, Thursday. One of the most highly anticipated games of this week. We got number 1 Thomas versus number 3 Keiser. A battle of 1 and 2 in the Sun Conference technically as well here. Thomas winning by 7 when they went to West Palm last time. This time they host here in Thomasville, Georgia. Unfortunately, the stream didn't work, but still have some notes to take here. Thomas would go ahead and get this thing started with a pretty good 66-yard drive here. That would end with an Alexa Wilson rushing touchdown to go ahead and get things started there, to get on the board. And then following that, Giselle Jones on the next drive here intercepts Keiser's second pass of the game here. That sets up a 5-play, 15-yard scoring drive that does end with Keanu Cole rushing it in for the touchdown, making it 12-0. Once more, though, the extra point did not work out. Now, after a turnover on downs by Keiser, Thomas will get the ball, and they would go ahead and march 47 yards in 7 plays here, and it'll end with Alexa Wilson finding Kiara Knight on a 19-yard pass, making it 19-0, I guess 18-0, and then Keanu Cole would go ahead and make it 19-0 on the extra point, just like that. 3 straight scoring drives for Thomas here. Keiser just falling behind here. Now Keiser, they would score in the second quarter here. A little 1-yard pass, I believe Brennan Ramirez made this touchdown catch here, but the 1-point conversion was no good, and that was actually the final time Keiser would score, as this Thomas defense came to play here and did not give Keiser anything to work with here, and would actually end in the fourth quarter when Alexa Wilson would go ahead and run it in for her second rushing touchdown of the day. A little 5-yard rush there to go ahead and put them ahead by a lot more here, making it 25-6. And then that was basically game. I mean, Thomas just came to play, 251 total yards on offense, only allowed 124 yards to Keiser here. So just a very tough go for Keiser, but Thomas on a hot streak here, especially at home, going ahead and getting it done. Let's go ahead and look at some of the stats here. Alexa Wilson passed for 240 yards on 18 completions here. Was a pretty healthy 18 of 30, and then threw a touchdown. Did also throw a pick here, but made it up. Also had 2 rushing touchdowns as well here. Keanu Cole having another rushing touchdown. Giselle Jones having a real good game. 3 receptions, 66 yards as the lead receiver. And then on defense here, Giselle Jones also had an interception, but Janae Scott once more was cooking cheese. 11 tackles and a sack here. That would lead the squad. Brittany Devil also had 5 tackles and an interception in this game. Definitely a team effort, I would say. I think Giselle Jones also played very well once more. But like I said, this Thomas team is clicking as a whole. I do got to pick a player of the game, and so I'm actually going to go ahead and go with Alexa Wilson here. 18 of 30, 240 yards, a touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns, led some really good drives. Went a little cold, in the second half, but hey, had a really fast start to this thing, really led this team, and got the job done here for Thomas, as well as his defense, which has been straight heat so far here this season. So there you go there. Thomas stays undefeated at 11-0. Keiser only getting their second loss on the season, both to Thomas. Now let's go ahead and move on and talk about another Sun Conference matchup that happened on this day. We had St. Thomas versus Weber here. Weber coming off a win from the following night. And so let's go ahead and hop into this. Holly Neer in at quarterback goes ahead and gets the party started. Throws a swing route to Kaylee Miller, who gets the first down. 3rd and 1 though. Neer throws it short on her check down to a running back, Dominique Parks, the freshman, who gets a first down past midfield. A play later, 2nd down. Neer throws the hitch route to Jada Graham, who gets the first down, putting them in the red zone here. St. Thomas starting off really sharp this game. A play later, 2nd down here. Neer throws the out route to Kaylee Miller, gets another 5. 3rd and 10. Neer throws the out route to Jada Graham, who basically walks it in for the touchdown, making it 6-0. Neer then finds a wide open Dominique Parks, who walks it in, making it a quick 7-0 drive here. A very good drive by St. Thomas, a very sharp drive by them to get this thing started. Now, Weber, they go ahead and they find Breasia Robinson on the curl for a first down. Following that, a couple plays later, it is 3rd and 3 here. Sam Wilson gets the ball out quick to Denise Garcia. She gets a first down. That puts them past midfield. Once more, we go ahead and we have second down here. On second down, Wilson hits Kayla Burrows on the out route, who works her way upfield for about 6, but they do throw a holding penalty on St. Thomas, holding onto her jersey just a little bit too much here. And so that actually makes it a first down, putting them in the red zone. But in the red zone, Weber struggles a little bit, at least getting big yardage. Does throw a hitch route to Breasia Robinson. She gets about 3. Second down, Wilson forced to check it down to Jasmine Henry. She gets a handful of yards. That's 3rd and 6. Following that, Wilson under pressure, forced to throw to Jasmine Henry, who gets maybe a yard. And so that sets up this 4th down situation where Wilson tries to throw this tight window here, but Riona Baker makes an all-hands catch on the interception to go ahead and make it a turnover on downs. But unfortunately, St. Thomas, is just not able to do anything with it, and they go 3 and out. A couple of drops here by Jada Graham, which were very uncharacteristic, would force that 3 and out. And so let's go ahead and go into the second quarter here. Here in the second quarter, second down, Sam Wilson goes deep and finds Hayden Roop over the top down the right sideline. Beautiful throw. Roop just beat her defender in 1-on-1. We know she has some speed on her, and she basically gets stopped on the 2, first down in the red zone. And so let's go ahead and go to third down. Fast forward to third down here. On third down, Ciara Zeno goes ahead and gets the snap. She's in at quarterback, runs the option before shovel passing it forward to Breasia Robinson, making it 7-6. Following that, Wilson goes back in, finds Kayla Burrows on a tough throw and catch, making it 7-7. Shades of the Kansas City Chiefs offense on that little shovel pass there would go ahead and tie this game up. Now St. Thomas, to start here, near finds Dominique Parks, who gets a first down to get this drive going, but eventually here, a couple just overthrown deep shots here forces St. Thomas to punt it. But Weber, they're not able to do too much with this either here. Just getting minimal yardage, and then on third down, the ball was batted down by Lanaya Leon at the line, so that eventually forces a 3 and out. And because they didn't get a lot of yards, maybe 5 or 6 yards on that one drive, they have to punt it. And so here we go. Near in the quarterback, she finds Tyler Bryant on the curl route, gets about 5 to get this thing going. Second down, though, Near throws the drag route to Kaylee Miller, who dips below a couple defenders, making them miss, sprints ahead, spins out of one, and then goes ahead and takes it 40 yards to the house. St. Thomas taking a 13-7 lead off of some nifty moves and just great playmaking by Kaylee Miller here, making pretty much the entire defense miss and going ahead and getting them that lead. Extra point is no good. It's batted down by Kayla Burrows. And so here we go. Weber trying to respond back here. Wilson finds Kayla Burrows on the out. She goes and gets a first down here. A penalty thrown on St. Thomas for holding. Also tags on some yards. Following that, Wilson goes back to Burrows on the curl, who gets the first down past midfield. But a play later, it's second down. Sam Wilson goes deep here. I don't know if there's some miscommunication or what, but it is easily intercepted by Miranda Fairdes, who gets a huge interception and actually returns it past midfield. Now, St. Thomas is not able to really get anything on this one. A couple big deflections by Caitlin Sigmundy would make sure of that. And so that's basically what the score is going into halftime. St. Thomas with the 13-7 lead. But Weber, they do get the ball to start. But once more, the struggles continue here. Wilson basically just throws it to Kayla Burrows, who gets a couple of yards for a time. St. Thomas with really good flag pulling, not allowing any big plays here deep. And then eventually, Wilson does throw an incompletion, and so that forces a 3 and out here. St. Thomas with a chance to continue to build on their lead, and that is what they do here. Second down, Nehir throws the curl to Tashumba Washington, who catches it, but it looks like she gets clipped over the head, and so that is going to be a penalty on Weber and gives St. Thomas a first down in the red zone. I mean, you just can't do that, and so that's just tough. But, this Weber defense, they do a pretty solid job holding it down here. And so here we go. It's 4th down, about at the 1 or 2 here. Holly Neer finds the Shumba. Washington, though, on the drag, making it 19-7. Extra point is no good. And so this game is definitely, going St. Thomas's way right here. Weber not out of it, but they have to get something going. And unfortunately, they just can't. They do get a first down here. That's Sam Wilson checking it down to Bria Cam. But following that, there's a drop pass. And then there's a solid gain of 5 by Caitlin Sigmundy. But then there's another short pass here. And so, unfortunately, they got to punt it. And Weber just having a couple too many drops here. St. Thomas, they do get the ball with about 3 minutes left. And here we go. They are looking to continue to add on to this lead. On 2nd down, a direct snap to Dominique Parks. She goes ahead and gets this and gets the first down here to get this thing started. Fast forward to 3rd down here. Another direct snap to Dominique Parks. Goes ahead and gets another first down past midfield. And that's where we're at in the 4th quarter. St. Thomas with an increasingly dominant 19-7 lead here. Let's go ahead and talk about it, though, as this game begins to close up. Let's go to 3rd down. Nehir throws the out to Walker, but it's slightly off the mark, so it's incomplete. And so St. Thomas forced to punt it, and that's what they do. But once more, well, here, let me start with this. Holly Neer pins them on the 1, so that puts them in a really tough spot. And so Weber goes ahead and puts Ciara Zeno in, who's a little bit more of a mobile quarterback, which is what I understand. But she's just not getting a lot of yardage. On an option, she basically gets stopped at the line almost for a loss. On 2nd down, Zeno checks it down to Denise Garcia. She gets a couple of yards, though. Not enough, though. That brings up 3rd down here. Once more, she's forced to check down to Garcia, but gets minimal yardage. And so once more, Weber going 3 and out here. So many 3 and outs so far this game. Now St. Thomas, they get the ball. They're looking to kind of put this thing on ice. But on 3rd down, Holly Neer takes a shot downfield, but it is double coverage, and the receiver's definitely not open. Caitlin Sigmundy gets a pretty easy interception and return. And so here we go, Weber with another chance with about 5 minutes left to make something happen. But once more, they got to be a little bit more urgent here in making something happen. They got to do it now because they still got to get a stop. And so to start, Wilson finds Burrows on the out route. That's good for a first down. Following that, though, a couple plays later, Wilson throws the hitch to Caitlin Sigmundy, who then pitches it to Emma Balaco, who gets a good amount of key extra yards, but she also takes a hit out of bounds here, and so that tags on some penalty yards, putting Weber past midfield. St. Thomas just making a lot of mistakes right now, and so Weber, they got to take advantage of that. And let's go ahead and fast forward to 4th and 5 here. Very manageable, but here's what happens. Wilson throws the curl route, but it is dropped. And it's not like it was that inaccurate of a ball or it was good coverage. It was just a dropped pass. And so that's just a tough go. Weber's struggles on offense here continues as that's a turnover on downs. And there's only 2 minutes 45 seconds left. And so this thing really is looking like to be kind of out of reach here. And so let's fast forward to 3rd down, though. Holly Neer once again throws the short pass, but Caleb Burrows jumps the out route here and almost houses this one for a pick 6, but gets caught from behind just barely. That does set them up in the red zone here to start. And so a tough go. Weber, their defense is fighting hard, but their offense, just some struggles here. But they do have a chance to score. This is probably their best chances. They're literally in the red zone. And so let's fast forward to 3rd down here. Sam Wilson throws it over the middle and finds Brasia Robinson, who makes a good adjustment to the ball and makes the catch, making it a touchdown 19-13 with 1:04 left. Wilson then scrambles out right and throws it to Robinson, making it all of a sudden a close game at 19-14. This game looked to be wrapped up with under 2 minutes left, but a bad interception it's tough, it's definitely tough and gives them another chance. And so Weber also has all 3 timeouts. And so here we go. A lot of pressure on St. Thomas. They have to get a first down to put this thing away. If they punt it, we'll see. And so here we go. First down here. Checks it down to Parks. Then tries to pitch it, but it's almost picked by Emma Blanco. Not the greatest play there, but regardless, still gets some positive yards. So it's 2nd and 3 here. And on 2nd and 3, Near throws it out to Rihanna Baker, who goes and gets the first down. Now basically puts this away. But Weber does have 2 timeouts left here. So St. Thomas just really looking to put this game on ice, get a couple more yards, maybe another first down. They go ahead and put Jada Graham in at quarterback. She's going to for sure run the option here. And that's what she does. She goes right up the middle, and she makes a player or two miss and is gone. 60 yards to the house, making it 25-14. Extra point is no good, but at this point, this game is over. Only 23 seconds left. And so St. Thomas ends up defeating Weber 25-14 here. Got a lot closer than it needed to at the end, for sure. But, you know, a dub is a dub. They will take that. And I would have to say player of the game absolutely has to be Kaylee Miller. That big gain she broke loose, which should have just been a check down pass, ended up being real huge in this one. And over again, she just made some big plays. So absolutely player of the game has to be Kaylee Miller here. Now, Weber, I mean, they were just off in this game. Offensively, they just weren't super sharp here. Missing some throws. You had some dropped passes. You had more dropped passes than you should have in any game, really. But especially against a team in St. Thomas who I believe is only a bit behind them in the power rankings. That's just tough. And they had their chances. I mean, at one point it was 19-14 here. You got to think if they got one of these touchdowns in an earlier drive, then, you know, they would definitely be in the driver's seat and in a better spot to win this game. But they just weren't. And so Weber, you know, a little bit in a slump, I gotta say. They're definitely a little bit in a slump. We'll see if they could work their way out of that one. St. Thomas, on the other hand, on a winning streak, on a 4-game winning streak. And they also play Reinhardt here on Saturday, so we'll see how that goes. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about Florida Memorial versus Reinhardt here. Pretty close to each other in the power rankings. I believe FMU is number 9 and Reinhardt is currently 10. And so Reinhardt does make the trip down to Florida for this game. I believe they actually have 2 games in Florida in 2 consecutive days. But let's go ahead and talk about this one. A couple notes to make here for Reinhardt. They don't have Joelle Jarrett back yet. She's been missing for kind of a while, actually, and so that is a big deal. I don't think I saw her on the sidelines either, so there's definitely that. For FMU, they are going ahead and starting Eunice Montgomery. This is her first career start. She's a freshman. I don't even really think she got in a whole ton before, besides the game, you know, from a day or two ago. So there you go. But let's go ahead and get this thing started in the first quarter. Reinhardt, they do get the ball. They are driving downfield, but Erica Johnson comes up with a huge interception to get them started. Actually gets a really good return to put them past midfield. And so that's where FMU and Montgomery gets started here. Let's go ahead and actually fast forward to 3rd down. They go ahead and direct snap it to Caleb McDuffie, who goes ahead and gets the first down and puts them in the red zone, their first trip of the day. Following that, Montgomery takes a shot down the left sideline and finds Erica Johnson for the touchdown, making it 6-0. Then Montgomery just goes ahead and runs this one in, making it 7-0. FMU taking the early lead. Now Reinhardt trying to get back into this. Been kind of trying to figure out their offense here for a couple weeks. Have relied a little bit more on the run. And so let's go to 3rd down here. Wimbush throws it up here on a rare pass play, but it looks to be intercepted by Erica Johnson. But there is a penalty thrown on FMU. I believe it's a PI, and so that will actually overturn that pick, and Reinhardt would actually get the first down. So there you go there. But a couple plays later, once more, it is fourth down here on the edge of the red zone. They're going for it. Wimbush throws the out route, but it is deflected. I want to say Erica Johnson got a piece of that, her being a big presence to start this game, and so that's a turnover on downs. Now FMU, they do find themselves in a fourth down situation of their own here eventually. On fourth down, they go ahead and Montgomery goes down the left sideline here, taking a shot downfield and actually finds number 5. I believe that is now Ronisha Gibbs. Could be mistaken. I know a couple players changed their numbers, and it's not updated in the roster yet. But she finds number 5 downfield, and she goes ahead and burns her defender. This is a good ball here as well. That makes it 13-0. Extra point is no good. And so Reinhardt trying to respond back. They go ahead and get a nice first down to start this drive here. Handoff to Tatiana Alacock would go ahead and give them that first down. Following that, they run an end-around play to Deshae Branham. She gets stopped for about 1. That brings up second down here, where Kalia Wimbush throws the out route to, I believe it's Nina Johnson here, who goes ahead and slips the defender and goes and gets the first down as well here. But there is also a penalty thrown on FMU, so that tags on some extra yards. Still a first down, though. I believe they are past midfield at this point. Fast forward here a couple plays. Let's go to second down, second and inches here. Kalia Wimbush goes deep and has Deshae Branham here. It's a good throw, it's a good route, but it is dropped. It would have been a touchdown, so that brings up a third down instead. On third down, Wimbush tries to go over the middle, but Erica Johnson once more with a pass deflection. That brings up fourth down here, and on fourth down, they run a design QB run with Wimbush. She goes ahead and gets the first down, putting them in the red zone, and that's where we pick up here in the second quarter. But let's go ahead and fast forward to fourth down here, looking to score. Wimbush takes a shot deep, and this one's actually almost intercepted by Kayla McDuffie, but she smartly just bats it down, not trying to give up that type of field position, and so that's actually a turnover on downs. So here we go. I believe this is the third drive for FMU and Eunice Montgomery. They go ahead and get it started with a nice check down play to Victoria Francois, who gets about 7 or 8 yards for a first down. A play later, let's go second down here. Montgomery on the money to Erica Johnson, who snags in a nice catch on the post route for a gain of about 20. That's another first down past midfield. Following that, Montgomery scrambles right up the middle for about 15. That puts them in the red zone. So here we go. FMU is cooking here, but it momentarily stops as it does bring up a fourth down play here. On third down, Montgomery did have a receiver downfield in the end zone, but Adriana Brustmeyer did a good job ripping that one out, forcing an incompletion. You got to finish the process of the catch. That's how it goes. I know there was some controversy there, but it just looked like she broke it up. So fourth down here. On fourth down, Montgomery takes a shot down the left sideline, finds Ronisha Gibbs once more for the touchdown, making it 19-0. Montgomery then runs it in, making it 20-0, already taking a pretty dominant lead. Now, Reinhardt on the next play, Wimbush does take a sack, and that pretty much kills that drive as they are forced to go 3 and out and punt it. And so here we go, FMU looking to really drive the nail in the coffin with about 2:34 left in only the first half here. They go ahead and get a nice first down. It's a scramble by Montgomery on that play for about 15. That eventually brings up third down here. Montgomery throws the out route to Alexis Nelson, who does give them the first down in the red zone. And so once more in the red zone here, Montgomery throws it to Victoria Francois, and that is good for her fourth touchdown throw of the day. Extra point is no good, but at this point it is pretty much over. It is all FMU. Their defense is playing well, getting a lot of pressure here, and then Reinhardt just not really applying too much pressure here and just allowing Montgomery to set and throw, and she throws some great strikes here, in this game. Sarah Walker later in the third quarter for FMU would get a huge pick six that would make it 33-0, and that is your final. Florida Memorial wins 33-0. Eunice Montgomery in her debut, 4 passing touchdowns. I don't believe any turnovers, and just really efficient, throwing some great balls and taking advantage of this Reinhardt defense, who usually is pretty solid. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to the Saturday slate of games here. April 1st, and to start the day, we got St. Thomas versus Reinhardt here. Reinhardt, like I said, on their little trip here to Florida. St. Thomas, they've been rolling here. Now, for Reinhardt, there are some more noticeable missing players here. I noticed this more in the second game than the last game. Maybe they were both missing for both games, but Joelle Jarrett obviously not here. Carson Padgett, who's actually been pretty big for them on defense as a rusher, is also not there for them, and so they are a couple players short here. Nevertheless, they go ahead and head into this one. St. Thomas, they do get the ball first, but unfortunately just not able to get anything going on a couple incompletions, starting a little slow here, and so they go 3 and out. Now, Reinhardt, they get the ball. Kalia Wimbush here in at quarterback. She throws the post route to Deshae Branham, who jumps up and gets the first down past midfield. A good little possession catch here on a nice 13-yard gain. But let's fast forward to third down here. Third down, trying to convert near midfield. Wimbush tries to throw a quick screen here to Nina Johnson, but it basically goes nowhere, and so Reinhardt is forced to punt it back. And so St. Thomas, they get the ball back. They are looking to get something together here. Let's go ahead and go to second down. Holly Neer in at quarterback, scans left, but before going right here and throwing to a wide open Kaylee Miller, who looks like she catches it, or at least in my opinion, it looks like she catches it, but then kind of just drops it. And so the refs call it an incompletion. It probably would have been a touchdown if she caught it. To me, it looked like a completion, but hey, it is what it is. It's incomplete. So that brings up third down here. And so on third down, Neer finds Jada Graham on the drag, who gets outside and more for about 25 yards, putting them past midfield. She has that 99 speed, and so she's very dangerous on those drag routes. Following that, Neher then checks down to Tiffany Walker, who gets them a first down in the red zone there, just like that. Operating in the red zone for the first time, Neher throws it up to Tyler Bryant down the left side. It gets tipped up. It looks like it's getting batted down here, but Bryant, who is on the ground, catches it here. Just a great concentration catch here by Bryant, making it 6-0 and a St. Thomas lead. The extra point is no good, though. Now, let's go ahead and go to Reinhardt. They're back on offense, trying to get something going. Wimbush throws the post to Nina Johnson, who goes up and makes a play. She kind of just jump balls this thing and just catches this one. A good possession catch right there for a first down and a 15-yard gain. Couple plays later, it's third down, and Wimbush once again goes back to the post route, back to Nina Johnson, and she gets another jump ball catch for a first down past midfield. This goes for about 20, and that's where we pick up here in the second quarter. But in the second quarter, it looks like Wimbush is trying to throw the out route. There's a bit too much air on this, and Miranda Fairdes goes ahead and gets a big-time interception to kill a very promising drive for Reinhardt. And so here we go. St. Thomas with the ball on offense. Let's go ahead and go to fourth down here. Fourth down, they're looking to convert, get into the red zone. Holly Neer, patient in the pocket, eventually finds Jada Graham deep, who gets about 40 yards. That actually puts them in the red zone there. So there you go, and plus a new set of downs. Now, moving on to second down here. They go ahead and hand it off to Jada Graham, who looks to get outside before she turns upfield here. Before she turns upfield here, trying to get outside, she throws it to a wide open Rihanna Baker, making it 12-0. So a touchdown pass for Jada Graham here, just like that. Extra points, no good. And so there you go. St. Thomas lives with the 12-point lead. Now, things are not going great for Reinhardt here. They're trying to throw the ball a little bit here. They do get a first down where Wimbush throws the slant to Victoria Salmon a little low, but she gets the first down. But following that, you have a couple overthrows, some plays that were almost picked. You have you do have a slant to Salmon again that gets 5, but then on third down you have a drop pass, and so on fourth down Reinhardt once again sputters, forced to punt it. Now, St. Thomas looking to go up by 3 scores. NAIA throws the slant to Rihanna Baker. That goes for about 10 yards and a first down. A couple plays later, let's go to third down here. NAIA finds Jada Graham on the drag, who makes a player miss, and then she takes it to the house. 50 yards on the touchdown play. Like I said, she got that 99 speed, and so you really can't afford to miss her flag there, and that's just what they did. And so they go up 19-0 here. They eventually go up 20-0 as NAIA finds Kaylee Miller in the back of the end zone on a nice little throw. Now, Reinhardt, they're trying to get something going. They do get a first down on a designed quarterback run, but eventually it does not work out on fourth down. Wimbush tries to throw it, but this one's picked off by Baker, and that's basically how the half ends here. I mean, St. Thomas with a dominant 20-0 lead, and that's pretty much the end of the game. Nothing really changes here. I'll just talk about some of the scores that would happen. NAIA will then find Jada Graham in the third quarter for her second receiving touchdown, I believe, of the day. Jada Graham with a total of 3 touchdowns, 1 passing, 2 receiving. That makes it 25-0. Following that here, Julianne Yokowski subbed in eventually, and she finds Carissa Dolce for a receiving touchdown. That makes it 31-0. And then on a punt, Deshumba Washington fields it before pitching it to Rihanna Baker, who burns down the right sideline here, just untouched, making it 37-0. And then still in the third quarter, they go ahead and sub in Ashlyn McKinley, Reinhardt does, and she just throws it up to Nina Johnson, who gets a big time catch here, just mossing to Shumba Washington, which, I mean, it wasn't like she wasn't trying. Obviously, it's one-on-one. She probably thought she was about to get a pick, but Nina Johnson with just an aggressive catch over her and then walks it in 15 yards. Well, really, it's a 50-yard play, but walks in the last 50 to make it 37-6, plus the extra point, making it 37-7. But like I said, it's over at this point. Last score of this game, Yokowski finds Dominique Parks. That makes it 43-7, and that is your final score. St. Thomas beats Reinhardt 43-7. Player of the game, Jada Graham, 1 passing touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns. Pretty sure she had to have led in receiving yards, as well as she was just dominant in this game as St. Thomas once more takes care of business. All right, now real quick, let's go ahead and switch to some KCAC play here. We got Midland versus the University of St. Mary in Nebraska for this one. Let's go ahead and hop into it. So to start here, Midland would get the ball, and Michaela Nunez would go ahead and scramble down the left side for a first down past midfield to get things started. It was a pretty big play there, but a couple incompletions bring up fourth down, and on fourth down they go ahead and throw it, but it's incomplete once more. But luckily a penalty is thrown. I believe it is holding on St. Mary's, and so that gives Midland a first down in the red zone. In the red zone, the struggles continue here. You have a drop pass, then on second down here, Nunez goes over the middle, but this one's intercepted by Jerica Johnson here. But almost immediately right after that, St. Mary on offense, NAIA Hooks at quarterback, goes ahead and throws it to the flat, and this one's intercepted by Casey Thompson, and so that sets up Midland back in the red zone, back in business here. And then a play later here, Nunez goes left towards the left sideline here and throws it to an open Casey Thompson. That makes it 6-0. Nunez would then find Olivia Dominguez Millsap for the extra point, making it 7-0. Now, St. Mary back on offense. They go ahead and get a quick first down here. Hooks finding her tight end Rebecca Ruck for that first down there. But on second down, a huge Sydney Red sack would go ahead and make it a pretty tough third down. And on third down, the snap is mishandled by Hooks, and so that results in a fourth down and a punt here. Now, at 2:28 here, Nunez starting on offense. I think this is the third drive here. Goes ahead and passes it to Casey Thompson, who gets a good gain. That puts them in the red zone here. After a Michaela Nunez scramble for about 6, that brings up 2nd and 7 here. Nunez rolls out right and finds Casey Thompson in the end zone for her 2nd touchdown of the day, making it 13-0. Nunez then on the extra point pitches it and goes, I think that's to Jocelyn Lopez, who goes ahead and makes it 14-0. So all Midland so far here in the first quarter. Let's go into the second quarter here. In the second quarter, St. Mary trying to get something going. Hooks throws it to Jerica Johnson on the swing route. She makes a couple people miss, gets a first down. That goes for about 10. But once again, Hooks is sacked on 2nd down for a 2nd time by Sydney Red. That brings up 3rd and long here. But once more on 3rd down, she is sacked this time by Casey Thompson. And so that forces another punt here. On the punt, Midland returns it past midfield, and so that's where they start here in St. Mary territory. Nunez throws it to the flat, and she goes and gets the first down, putting them in the red zone. Couldn't quite catch the number there, but regardless, in the red zone. In the red zone, they do have some struggles here. They have an incompletion on 2nd down, an overthrow. That brings up 3rd down. And then on 3rd down here, there's a dropped pass. And so that actually brings up 4th down here in the red zone. Nunez looks deep, but it kind of just looks like the receiver maybe mistimed the jump or just didn't adjust as well as she could have to the ball. And so it's incomplete. That's a turnover on downs, which is a pretty big break for the Spires. But things on offense are just not going well here. I mean, on 3rd down, the Spires have a chance to go ahead and convert here after a penalty thrown on Midland, but pressure from Sydney Red forces a throwaway, and so that brings up a 4th down and another Spires punt. Now, Midland looking to go up by 3 scores. This is what happens. 3rd down here, Michaela Nunez goes ahead and pitches it to Jocelyn Lopez, who goes and gets the first down past midfield on a solid gain. Following that, it is 1st down. I believe it's 1st down again because there was a holding call on the Spires again. That was actually a pretty dangerous play that was almost intercepted, but regardless, a penalty though. And so repeating 1st down, Nunez on the option pitches it to Jocelyn Lopez, who once more gets a solid gain for a 1st down. That puts them in the red zone this time. 2 plays later, it is 3rd down here. Michaela Nunez drops back, finds Diva Jones, who spins and gets a couple more yards here. Almost scores, but not quite as in. That brings up 4th down. And on 4th down, Nunez finds Casey Thompson for her 3rd touchdown of the day. That makes it 20-0. Then Nunez runs it in, making it 21-0. At this point, the game is basically over. Midland just dominating on defense, and the Spires just really not being able to get more than 2 first downs in a row. And they would continue to struggle here. And that's basically where I left off. Did come back and get the final score though, and that final score is Midland beating University of St. Mary 48-0. A very dominant win for Midland here. Player of the game for me has to be Casey Thompson. I mean, she had a sack at halftime. She had 3 receiving touchdowns and that big interception. She was very dominant in this game as Midland just rolls over the Spires once more. The 2nd time they did that this year. Now, let's go ahead and jump down to Kansas here over at Bethel. They are hosting Cottey here. For Cottey, they do get Angie Cruz back, I believe, but they're noticeably missing Carrie on Cloyd here. And so that's definitely a big loss. Bethel looking to potentially, get a win, but also definitely get better. They haven't scored yet. I don't believe they have yet this season, so definitely trying to get something going. And so on the first drive, here's how it gets started. Kyla Rome, starting quarterback for Bethel, goes right up the seam, finds a receiver, I believe it's her slot receiver, who gets a huge first down. That goes for about 20 yards. A couple plays later though, it's 4th and 2 here. They're going for it. Rome scrambles right up the middle. She gets the first down past midfield, extending this drive. A couple plays later, it is 3rd down. Rome finds an open receiver. I believe that's Jaquel Tucker on a nice little corner route here. It goes for a pretty big gain. That is a first down in the red zone here, about a 20-ish yard gain there. Let's go ahead and fast forward a couple plays here. It is 4th down here. Obviously, they haven't scored. This is their last chance to score, at least on this drive. Here's what happens. Kyler Rome finds Shaquille Tucker on the drag route, who goes and gets it in for the first touchdown, I believe, in Bethel history. First one of this game, and giving Bethel a lead 6-0 here, I believe, for the first time ever. Now, the extra point is stopped short on the scramble, but regardless, they have the touchdown. Now, Cottey here, interesting enough, it looks like they're rotating quarterbacks. They go ahead and start Jennifer Haberstock here. She does get a check down to Chandler Tall. That goes for a first down, but a couple plays in, it's just not going well. You have a number of incompletions. One of them was a dropped pass here. Another, it looks like she has an open Joliet Johnson, but she stops running for like a half second, and that kind of throws the whole thing out of rhythm there. And then, like I said, a couple dropped passes and miscommunications. Cottey goes ahead and punts it on 4th down there. And then we have Bethel. They're back on offense, but they're just not getting too many yards here. By the way, Amaya Karula in as rusher. She's getting some good pressure, and so that forces a 3 and out. Now, Cottey, they go ahead, and it looks like they get Alyssa Hollis in there at quarterback, but it's basically all run plays. She does get a first down pass midfield right before the second quarter, though. And so let's go ahead and pick up in the second quarter. Hollis throws it to Goodrich, who makes a player miss, gets about 5 yards. That's a solid gain. That does bring up 3rd down here, and on 3rd down, Hollis throws it short to the flats to Joliet Johnson, who makes the catch for a gain of about 5. Still short, though. It's 4th down and 3. But on 4th and 3, they just go ahead and call a quarterback keeper. Hollis keeps it, runs it right up the middle. That gets them into the red zone for the first time today. But unfortunately, later in this drive, there is a holding penalty thrown on Cottey, which pushes them back pretty significantly here. It's like 2nd and 25 or something like that. The best they could do after a couple short gains is 4th and 15. And so here we go, 4th and 15 in the red zone. Hollis, under pressure, forced to throw to Joliet Johnson in the middle of the field, but she's not really in any position to score. It's like still 10 yards short of the end zone, and she's surrounded, and so she's dropped pretty much immediately. That's a turnover on downs. But Bethel not able to really go ahead and take advantage of that stop there. They do get a first down after Rome spins out of a sack and goes and gets it. But eventually it is 3rd down, and on 3rd down they do attempt a little double pass here. It looks like Mackenzie Harkins is the one who's throwing it, but this one's almost picked. And so it does bring up eventually 4th down, and they go ahead and just punt it here. Now once more, it looks like Haberstock is back in, I want to say, at quarterback. And so let's go ahead and fast forward to 4th and 2. They're on the edge of the red zone, and they go ahead and just call quarterback keeper to Haberstock, who goes and gets the first down. That puts them in the red zone once more. But on 1st down, Haberstock sacked by a Bethel rusher. I believe that's number 15. Not currently listed on the roster, but still a pretty big play once more. Once again, they try to call a little run play here. Looks like an end around, I want to say, or some sort of sweep play to Joliet Johnson, but that is also stopped short by number 15. A play later here, or sorry, after the timeout here, it is 3rd down. Jennifer Haberstock goes deep and has an open Daniela Goodrich, but maybe there was sun in her eyes. I don't know. She kind of just drops this one, or just doesn't adjust well to this one, and so that's tough. That brings up 4th down here. And on 4th down, Haberstock tries to go deep, but it is very much underthrown, and so that is definitely broken up. And that is basically the end of the first half here. Not too much really going on. Even in the 3rd quarter, not too much going on to start. Cottey keeps Haberstock in. They do hand it off to Karula here, but it just doesn't quite work out there on that play. And so they go ahead and put Amaya Karula back in at quarterback. This is her first drive in at quarterback, I believe. but it doesn't exactly go great. It's 3rd and 10 here, and Karula gets sacked by Kyle Rome. That brings up 4th down, and they punt it. Bethel, they do get a 1st down here. That was mostly penalty yards on Cottey for holding, though, which is definitely a personal problem on Cottey. But eventually they get a stop here. Rome is sacked by Karula. I believe that is the 2nd time there. And then she's sacked again by Daniela Takashima Gonzalez, I want to say. And so that eventually forces a Bethel punt. And so here we go. Cottey with the ball about midway through, I want to say, the 3rd quarter here. Haberstock in at quarterback takes a shot deep to Joliet Johnson, which she has to come back for, but she still makes the catch, and she also gets them across midfield. So a catch is a catch. That goes for 25 yards there. Following that, Karula back in at quarterback decides to scramble on 1st down, splits the defenders, dips below both of them, and then continues running, getting about 25 yards on a big play. That puts Cottey back in the red zone. But let's go ahead and fast forward to 3rd down here. 3rd down, Karula under pressure throws the check down to Kenzie Murdoch, but it looks to be a penalty thrown on Bethel, and so that will move Cottey up and make it 3rd and 4, repeating 3rd down. And here we go, 3rd and 4. Karula squeezes a tight throw to the flat to Seamus Lee, who gets the touchdown to tie this thing at 6-6. The extra point is intercepted, so it doesn't matter. But speaking of things that don't matter, Bethel was on offense, and Alyssa Hollis gets a huge sack that would eventually force this drive to not matter here, as Bethel is just not able to move the ball, and they go 3 and out. And so here we go, back in at quarterback is Haberstock. She goes ahead and takes a shot downfield to Joliet Johnson on a nice little corner route. Johnson makes a great catch here before getting a huge chunk of yards. It looks like she's about to score for a second there, but is caught from behind. That goes for about 40 yards. It's like 1st down and 1 in the red zone here. Let's go ahead and fast forward to play. It's 2nd down here, actually. Maya Karula goes ahead and takes off and scores, making it a 12-6 Cottey lead there, giving them the first lead of the day. Now, let's go ahead and go to the 4th quarter. The extra point's no good, by the way. But let's go to the 4th quarter here. 2nd down for Bethel. Rome, once again, sacked by Karula. I believe that has to be Karula's either 2nd or 3rd sack of the game so far. On 3rd down, Rome tries to scramble, but she is stopped to the line. That loss of yards plus the lack of yards on that gain does eventually force another Bethel punt. Bethel just kind of struggling to move the ball downfield here, having some self-inflicted mistakes, honestly. So there you go. Now let's go ahead and go to Cottey here and fast forward to a 4th and 3 situation. They're going for it, and on 4th and 3, Karula takes off and scrambles, just barely gets the 1st down past midfield, but still gets it. Now 2 plays later, 3rd and 5, Karula buys some time before throwing towards the left sideline and finding Joliet Johnson, and that goes ahead and puts them in the red zone just like that. But unfortunately, they go a little cold in the red zone. 2 completions in a row brings up 3rd down. On 3rd down, Karula goes deep for Seamus Lee, but Lee just doesn't adjust to this throw as well as she could, and she definitely could have. And so once more, that's incomplete there. That brings up 4th down here, and on 4th down, Karula throws it deep to Johnson, but this one just goes way out of bounds. It looks like the wind takes it, and so that's a turnover on downs. But 3rd and 1 here for Bethel. Rome trying to get something going, only down by 6 here in the 4th. Goes deep, but Daniela Goodrich snatches this one and gets a good return for Cottey, putting them in the red zone. Obviously a huge play to end a Bethel drive and potentially put Cottey in a position to score here. Unfortunately, it does come down to a 4th down situation. Karula tries to go deep into the back of the end zone, but it's incomplete. And on top of that, I think Kenzie Murdoch accidentally bumps a Bethel defender too hard because they do throw a penalty on her, but like I said, it's incomplete, so turnover on downs anyways. Now 2nd down here for Bethel, trying to get something going here. Rome tries to go deep once more, but once more Daniela Goodrich gets her 2nd interception of the game and goes ahead and gets Cottey the ball back, killing yet another Bethel drive. and a play into this drive at second down. Carrillo forced to scramble, gets about 5 yards there. Another play in third down here. Carrillo on the design quarterback run goes ahead and gets the touchdown, making it 18-6. And that is basically the end of this game. Bethel not able to get anything after that. Cottey comes back and beats Bethel 18-6 here. All their touchdowns coming in the second half once Amaya Carrillo goes in. And player of the game obviously has to be Amaya Carrillo. 3 passing touchdowns, 2 sacks. Interesting enough that they were moving quarterbacks in and out of the lineup, but no, Haberstock had some good plays to Joliet Johnson, but Amaya Carrillo really got them going in the second half and gave Cottey another win here. And so it'll be interesting to see how they move forward at the quarterback position. They used 3 different quarterbacks between Haberstock, Hollis, and Carrillo. And, we'll see if they continue to stick with that or if they just settle on one. But definitely helped getting Daniela Goodwich was already back. But getting Cruz back, that absolutely was huge. Getting Angie Cruz back. It'll probably be big as well getting Cloyd back for the next game. But for now, Cottey takes care of business and wins 18-6. All right, now before I move on to the last game, I do want to talk about this Keiser versus Reinhardt game. Wasn't able to watch it. I just couldn't find a live stream. The link was not the right link and whatnot, and I definitely looked, and it just wasn't there. And this is probably for the best here, and so really I'm just going to talk about this real quick here. Keiser played Reinhardt here. Keiser obviously 5-2, Reinhardt now 3-9, and Keiser's now 5-2, I believe. But Keiser won 86-6 here. That 86 points, I believe, is the most points scored so far this flag football season, and maybe all time. I might need to check, but this is probably the highest score in any flag football game since this has become a sport in college here. And so that's huge here. Look, there's a lot of differences here. Keiser, they're a 3-year program. Reinhardt, first-year program. On top of that, they, like I said in the previous recap of their game from April 1st, they are without, I should say, a couple players. They don't have Joelle Jarrett. They haven't had her for a couple games. They don't have Carson Paget, who is a pretty big deal, I would say, for their defense. As a rusher, she does a lot for them. And, against a team like Keiser, you have to apply pressure, especially against those talented quarterbacks and a loaded receiving core. And so there's definitely a lot going on here for sure. But 86-6 is 86-6. This is pretty much expected, I would say, out of Keiser. It's insane for sure, but I would definitely say it is expected here. Now, let's just go ahead and just talk about the stats. I think that's really the only thing left to do here. Jasmine Roden, only 20 passing attempts, but won 13 of 20, 206 yards, 5 touchdowns. They also put in their backup, Haley Young, who went 15 of 19, even better, 202 yards and 6 touchdowns. Together, those two threw for 28 and 40, 408 yards and 11 touchdowns in this game. Jasmine Roden actually had a rushing touchdown as well. So each quarterback had 6 touchdowns apiece. At receiving here, Kennedy Foster, lead receiver, 7 receptions, 109 yards, 4 touchdowns. Emma Wagenman having a game here, 3 receptions, 70 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sophia Caprio, the freshman, 6 receptions, 63 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Then Melina Trinidad had 1 reception for 60 yards and a touchdown there. And then Aliana Agosto, I want to say, also had a receiving touchdown. So there's all 11 there. On defensively, they also went to work here. I think this was definitely a game that the defense needed to just kind of get back on track, gain a little bit more confidence here, even if it is a little overkill. But lead tackler, Samaya Bryant, 6 tackles. She also had 3 tackles for loss and a sack and an interception and a pass breakup. So definitely one of the MVPs on this defense here. Alexis Santiago had 4 tackles and an interception and a breakup here. Adriana Cavalotti had 2 interceptions for a combined 51 return yards. I wonder if she got a pick 6 potentially. She must have, because 11 times 7 is 77. So yeah, there must have been a defensive touchdown thrown in there at one point. Just going down the line, Reagan Pellegrino had a sack, Emma Wagman had a sack, Sophia Caprio on defense, a rare sighting of her on defense. I feel like, at least, I don't think she normally plays defense. Could be wrong though. She had an interception there. Jade McGrain had only an interception in this game. Yeah, they were definitely going to work. Oh, and they punted. Oh wait, those are just returns. Never mind. I don't believe they punted this game or had to punt this game. So there you go. Now Reinhardt, interesting enough, I think there's a lot to take away from this. I think the most important thing for Reinhardt to take away from this is that Ashlyn McKinley got the majority of the snaps and the starts. 32 pass attempts. Kalia Wimbush with only 2. So definitely keep an eye on that. Wimbush has been the starter the last couple games, but you did see McKinley come in at the end of the last game previous to this one, and then she must have started the majority of this game here, and she did provide some solid offense. But I mean, just a tough day. 6 interceptions, was sacked 2 times. Did get a long of 66 yards, though, but went 18 of 32 for 153 yards and a touchdown. Honestly, at that point, you just got to ride it out with your young quarterback. They got to learn, right? And they got to get better regardless of the score. That's just how these things go, or they're just not going to develop. And so it'll be interesting to see which freshman quarterback they roll with, whether it's McKinley or Wimbush here. But I think from what I've seen from McKinley, at least in this last game, not this game obviously because I was not able to see it, but in the last game, there's definitely something there. I mean, she was recruited for a reason, right? And so we'll just have to see. Now, on the ground, 29 rushing yards. Tatiana Alakok, only 1 attempt on the ground, which is interesting. Usually they kind of hand it off to her a lot here, but I like that Reinhardt is trying to figure out their passing game just a little bit more. They were probably forced to. Now, in the receiving game, interesting enough, Nina Johnson, 6 receptions, 108 yards, and a receiving touchdown, also with a long of 66. She had another long touchdown against St. Thomas. She's kind of emerging as the number 1 wide receiver. She's made some excellent catches, you know, the last couple games here. I think it's more about consistency, though. She has had a couple drops as well. But Amani Lindsay right behind her, 3 receptions, 32 yards, and then after that, nobody got over 10 receiving yards. So there you go. Now on defense, lead tackler, Victoria Salmon. And then I believe Ayana Morris had a tackle for loss, and then Tia Gay had a tackle for loss. Like I said, a little bit depleted Reinhardt team here. They definitely have more than what is listed. I see Nina Johnson's also on here. She had 4 tackles. I mean, just looking at some of the defenders here, Salmon, Johnson, Alakok, Branham, and McKinley are all, I would say, offensive players. Big parts of the offense as well. And so for them to be playing both ways, especially playing Sun Conference teams that are so deep both ways, that is never the greatest situation, but you work with what you got. And so there you go. Keiser comes away with the dub, as they should. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the last game here. Honestly, probably the game you've been waiting for, or you already skipped to, so welcome if you did just skip to this recap. But we have Ottawa versus Kansas Wesleyan. This is their last meetup here in the regular season before they probably ultimately play in the KCAC Women's Flag Football Tournament, their little conference tournament at the end of the season. That's April 28th and April 29th, by the way, just putting that out there. Now, in their first matchup, they played in Salina, and Ottawa in their home opener, or sorry, I guess not their home opener, in their season opener, won 33-6. It just wasn't super close in that one. Kansas Wesleyan, obviously, with a new head coach, so it is a new era there, but looking to, definitely make it closer and be more competitive here. Kansas Wesleyan have been on a tear since then, and Ottawa obviously has been undefeated, playing FAU, UCF, Midland, and Cottey before this game, but they're back at home here. They're in Ottawa, Kansas. Let's hop into this game. OU actually gets the ball to start here, and I believe they do get they get a couple first downs. They actually get into the red zone, and they do get to the 12, I believe, but on fourth down, Kansas Wesleyan goes ahead and gets a key stop here. And so Kansas Wesleyan obviously takes over from that spot, and they go ahead and drive about 58 yards here, 7 plays. A lot of that coming from a big-time 34-yard rush from Brianna Hernandez-Silva, their quarterback. That would go ahead and put them in a position to score, and that's what they would do on a short run to Kieran DeCure for the touchdown. Brianna Hernandez-Silva would get the extra point, making it 7-0 with about 5:51 left. I want to say in the first quarter. Following that, Ottawa, they would go ahead and get a first down here, but would kind of sputter once more and have to punt it here. KW playing really good defense early on. Now, let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit to the second quarter here. I believe this was at the beginning of the second quarter, but 11 plays, 44 yards. Kansas Wesleyan drives down. They get into the red zone. It's actually fourth down in the red zone once more. And so obviously they're going for it here. And on fourth down, Brianna Hernandez-Silva decides to scramble. She actually beats DJ Paris to the edge here and scores, making it 13-0. Following that, Brianna Hernandez-Silva rolls out left and finds a receiver, making it 14-0. So I'm just going to say, excuse me if I miss any numbers and player names here for Kansas Wesleyan. It was a little hard to see their jerseys. So I'm just pulling that out there. But most importantly, Kansas Wesleyan takes a 14-0 lead. I don't know if they've ever been up by that much before. Ottawa here, just starting really slow. And so with about 10 minutes left here, Madison Carrera tries to get something going. And so here's where we're going to pick it up. First down, Carrera forced out the pocket, scrambles about for 6 yards and gets the first down to get things started. Following that, Carrera finds Jaslyn Camacho, for about 5 yards on the out route. On second down, it has to be some sort of miscommunication as Carrera takes a shot deep, but it doesn't look like her receiver is running the correct route. And so that brings up third down here. And on third down, Carrera tries to throw it over the middle, it looks like, but Jada Wilson jumps this route and almost picks it off. It's in her hands basically at this point, but it is dropped, so Ottawa is forced to punt it. So regardless, they give the ball back up to Kansas Wesleyan. Now, Kansas Wesleyan, they are in a position to go up by 3 scores here. But here's what happens. Brianna Hernandez-Silva on first down, forced out right, finds Angel Roman for about 5. Second down, Hernandez-Silva under pressure, forced to throw it away. Pressure by Suzanne Kaufman and Hannah Sorquina. Third down, Hernandez-Silva has an open Angel Amares right down the middle. She aims for her, she throws it, but overshoots her by just a little bit here. So obviously a missed opportunity here. Kansas Wesleyan going potentially costly 3 and out. Now, Madison Carrera, she has the ball back. Let's go ahead and fast forward to 3rd and 4 here. Carrera scrambles out left before getting it to Hodgins. Just a little freestyle play here, who puts them in the red zone here. Now, following that, let's fast forward 2 plays. 3rd and 13, Carrera throws it to Alyssa Linkus, who almost scores but is a couple yards short. It's like 4th and 2 here. And so on 4th and 2, Ottawa looking to score. Kansas Wesleyan obviously trying to stop that. Carrera rolls out right and finds a wide open receiver in the back of the end zone. Kind of baits in 2 defenders, and one of them was definitely supposed to stay back and cover that receiver. And then she just finds a wide open Maya Quinn in the back. That makes it 14-6 here. Following that, Carrera throws it kind of towards the right corner here, and Maya Quinn just makes a great catch here. Honestly, just a tough physical catch, just beats the defender. That's just what it comes down to. And they go ahead and dig into this lead a little bit, making it 14-7. Still Kansas Wesleyan leading, though. Now, KWU, they got the ball here. Let's go ahead and go to third down here. Brianna Hernandez Silva decides to scramble and goes and gets the first down to get this drive started. Now, first down here. Hernandez Silva rolls out left. Interesting enough. And then throws it deep. It's deflected by Haley McKay. I believe it goes off of Jasmine Whitfield's hands. I had to watch this a couple of times. And into the hands of Kieran DeCure here. Just a very... it's a lucky play. I'm not even going to lie. It just kind of pops up in the air, and they're lucky that DeCure was there to go ahead and catch this one, because she houses this one for about 50 yards here. The Ottawa, crowd was kind of getting into it. This was definitely a crowd silencer momentarily, making it 20-7. Extra point is no good on this one, but wow, just what a play here. Great heads up play by Kieran DeCure to go ahead and catch it off the tip here and score. It looks like that one Auburn play. You know what I'm talking about. If you are a fan of college football, where they threw it deep and went off the hands of two defenders, and then an Auburn wide receiver happened to catch it. It looks almost exactly like that. And so there you go, Kansas Wesleyan. Everything going their way so far here, but there is 44 seconds left, enough time for Ottawa to potentially get a score here. And so here we go. Let's go ahead and get to third down here. There's about 29 seconds, 3rd and 10. This Kansas Wesleyan defense playing pretty well so far here, but it's 3rd and 10, 29 seconds left. Carrera stands in the pocket, but is forced to scramble and gets her flag pulled by Alexa Mansour, but it is in bounds, and so Ottawa definitely has to call a timeout here before this 4th down. There's about 19 seconds left here, so there you go. Now, following that, Carrera goes ahead and hits Alyssa Linkus on the out, but her flag is pulled before she gets out of bounds. So once more, Ottawa is forced to use another timeout. This is actually their last timeout. And so there's about 15 seconds left, but they do have the first down past midfield here. And so 15 seconds left. Here we go. Madison Carrera drops back, and she goes deep, and she's trying to find Bailey Hodgins, who's in double coverage. She has a corner trailing her. She has a safety over the top, and Carrera drops it in the bucket here. Hodgins makes the catch, and most importantly, the other important part of this catch, she goes ahead and reaches the ball over her head, as she's falling backwards into the end zone, and that goes for a touchdown to make it a 20-13 game here. And then with 7 seconds left here, on the extra point, Carrera just goes ahead and scrambles and makes it a 20-14 game. And so obviously, there's no 14-point plays, but you can cut into the lead before halftime. That's a huge momentum shift for Ottawa. Just a dot by Madison Carrera. And then for Bailey Hodgins to have the self-awareness to go ahead and reach over, because if she is down on the 1, I believe that would be a first down, and so they would temporarily stop the clock. But once it's set, the clock is running, and Ottawa has no timeouts. And so they would have to go right away from there, which, there's no guarantees. And so just a great play by both the quarterback and the wide receiver to go ahead and get it done and cut into this lead. Still, though, they are trailing. And so let's go ahead and get into the third quarter. Kansas Wesleyan actually starts with the ball here because Ottawa got it in the first half. And second down here, Brianna Hernandez Silva goes ahead and scrambles right, gets a first down to get this drive started. But a couple plays later, including 2 Brianna Hernandez Silva scrambles here for about 15-ish yards, it is 4th down and 3 near midfield here. And Kansas Wesleyan chooses to punt it. And I'm just going to be honest, just looking at body language and seeing the players, their offense definitely does not like that, and they definitely wanted to go for it. But I have to go with the head coach here. This is definitely the smarter decision to go ahead and punt it here at midfield, rather than potentially give Ottawa the ball at midfield. At best here, if you're Kansas Wesleyan, you want Ottawa to take their time on this drive. At least work for it. And so they go ahead and punt it. 8:36 left. That's where we pick up here for Ottawa, looking to tie this game, only down by 6, mind you. So here we go. Second down, Carrera under pressure finds Alyssa Linkus over the middle, who is just able to get the first down there. Following that second down here, Carrera throws the post to Alyssa Linkus, and she's able to bring it in for a first down pass midfield. This is about a 20-yard pass, which is a good throw by Carrera and a great catch by Linkus here. Following that, let's go ahead and get to second down here. Carrera throws it to the flat to Bailey Hodgins, who goes and gets the first down, making a person miss. And that also puts them in the red zone here. Now, following that, let's go to 3rd and 5 here. Carrera is under pressure, and she has Mandolin Scalisi on the swing route here. She throws it her way, but I don't think she was really expecting it here. And so that actually goes incomplete. And so that is a pretty key down there. It brings up 4th and 5 here. Now, I'm not saying if she caught it, she would have scored, but she would have had the opportunity to potentially put a move on someone. And if she made that first person miss, she probably would have scored. But that still hurts regardless. Anyways, though, 4th and 5. Ottawa, they go ahead and call a timeout. The first timeout of the half before they attempt this one, so they have 2 timeouts moving forward. 3:28 left here. 4th and 5 here. Here we go. Carrera forced to get it out quick to Jaslyn Camacho here over the middle. It looks like it's a either slant and drag route here, but she is stopped pretty well short by a bunch of Kansas Wesleyan players here. Just a good defense by Kansas Wesleyan to force the quick throw, force her to get it out, and she's not able to rush because there are 2 players rushing her. And so that's a pretty key turnover on downs here. Almost a 5-minute drive that resulted in nothing for Ottawa. So here we go. Kansas Wesleyan still with the lead. Here's what happens. Second down here. Brianna Hernandez-Silva rolls out left, which is it's a little interesting, I'm not going to lie. But she rolls out left, tries to throw it, but she's pretty easily sacked by Suzanne Kaufman. That's a pretty big sack right there. That makes it 3rd and 12 here. Now on 3rd and 12, Hernandez-Silva under pressure once more. I believe she goes ahead and underhands this throw, and it's a quick little underhand throw here to, I believe, Kendra Velasquez Monroe. If I'm wrong, sorry. Like I said, I can't see the jersey numbers super well, but she goes ahead and just sprints, like just dead line sprints for the first down, and she goes ahead and gets it, which is key considering it was a 3rd and long right there. And so that's basically where we pick up here in the 4th quarter. A couple plays later, it's 3rd and 9 here. Hernandez-Silva drops back. She throws it deep, has a receiver wide open downfield here. But unfortunately, this ball is definitely thrown more towards out of bounds here instead of farther down the field. And so could have been a potential touchdown or even a long first down. Ends up being a turnover on downs, which is definitely a huge break for Ottawa here as Kansas Wesleyan obviously punts it on 4th and 9. So 11:18 left here. Plenty of time here for Ottawa. They go ahead and go to work. 2nd and 10 here. Carrera scrambles around. Then eventually lofts one to Bailey Hodgins, who gets a key first down past midfield. It's definitely something I'm noticing, not only in this game, but in most games when things get a little hairy for Madison Carrera. You know, when she's trying to freestyle looking downfield, Bailey Hodgins has come clutch a lot of times to go ahead and get those near sideline catches and the first down, most importantly there. So definitely relying on a little bit more freestyling after the play breaks down to get those yards, which is all that matters at this point, getting first downs and scoring. And so here we go, first down pass midfield. Carrera drops back, once again throws the post to Alyssa Linkus. This time she catches it, and this time she breaks free here and just gashes this Kansas Wesleyan defense. A missed flagpole would definitely hurt them as she goes 40 yards to the house and ties this game here. Clutch throw by Carrera and an even more clutch run by Linkus following that catch to go ahead and tie this game. On the extra point, Carrera runs around, buying a lot of time. Eventually, once again, finds Maya Quinn wide open in the back of the end zone. That makes it 21-20. So here we go. Ottawa, they have the lead. They're at home. Still, though, a lot of time left. 10 minutes left in this game. Let's go to 3rd and 2 here. 3rd down and 2. Brianna Hernandez-Silva throws it, and it is incomplete. But there is a flag in the backfield here, which is on Ottawa, and it's a roughing the passer call on Ottawa, which gives Kansas Wesleyan a first down. And I don't know how you do that, but you do. And I don't know. Just, it's obviously not a good foul to have, a good penalty to have here, and you got to have a little bit more restraint at this point. But you know, hey, it is what it is to get the first down. Moving forward, Brianna Hernandez-Silva, under pressure, pitches it forward to Kendra Velasquez-Monroe, gets a solid gain for about, a first down past midfield, so it really doesn't matter how much she got there. Still got the first down regardless. Now, let's go ahead and fast forward here to 3rd down and 10 here. Ottawa in a good position to potentially stop them. Brianna Hernandez-Silva rolls out right and tries to loft one over the middle, but once again, there is a flag on Ottawa for a pass interference. Definitely kind of looks like there's maybe a little bit of a push there. So that makes it now 3rd and 1, almost a first down. Doesn't matter though, as Brianna Hernandez-Silva just throws the curl slash hitch route to Kieran DeCure, who gives them a first down in the red zone. Now, a chance to potentially score here. Here's what happens. Doesn't start out great, as there is a drop pass on 1st down, but on 2nd down here, Brianna Hernandez-Silva rolls out left and is almost intercepted by Addie Orsburn. Just a great play by Addie here, almost picking this one off. It would have been a really tough interception to make, but just not the greatest decision by Hernandez-Silva. That brings up 3rd and 18 here. Brianna Hernandez-Silva does have an open receiver in the end zone, but unfortunately the throw is just a little bit too high. That's 4th and 18. Kansas Wesleyan actually calls a timeout here. So they have 2 timeouts going forward with about 3:37 left. And so coming out the timeout, here we go. Brianna Hernandez-Silva throws it to the corner. Angel Roman is there, but she's just not able to bring in the catch and toe tap this thing in. And so that is just a turnover on downs. Good stop there by Ottawa. So 3:25 left. Still plenty of game to go here. If you're Ottawa, you definitely be comfortable with another score just to get a little bit more distance, because you are currently clinging to a 1-point lead. And so here we go. 1st down, Carrera under pressure, checks it down to Scalisi. She goes for about 10, but they also throw illegal contact on Kansas Wesleyan, so that moves Ottawa past midfield here. It was already going to be a 1st down, but that is just a costly penalty to have to even add on more yardage and get them past midfield. Anyways, Ottawa past midfield at this point here. On 1st down, Carrera throws the out to Scalisi once more, who gets another 10-yard gain or so. 2nd down here, Carrera scrambles and gets the 1st down to go ahead and put them in the red zone. Everything going Ottawa's way, at least on offense at this point here. Following that, Carrera forced to check down to Scalisi. Doesn't get any yards this time though. That brings up 2nd down, and on 2nd down, Carrera on the run throws it to Alyssa Linkus, who reaches the football out after she makes the catch here and makes it a 27-20 game here. Key touchdown for Ottawa. And then on the extra point, Carrera, patient in the pocket, not under pressure this time, eventually finds Jaslyn Camacho in the back of the end zone once more to make it 28-20. At this point, 1 minute, 7 seconds left. It's not out of reach for Kansas Wesleyan. If they get a touchdown, they could still go for 2 here and tie the game. And so Ottawa, they need a stop no matter what at this point. And so here we go. Hernandez-Silva throws the out route, and that is good for a 1st down. And I believe she also gets out of bounds, so they conserve a time out there. After a quick shovel pass to Kendra Velasquez-Monroe that goes for 9 yards, 2nd and 9 here, Brianna Hernandez-Silva rolls out right and throws towards the right sideline here, putting this one on a line. And I believe that's Angel Roman on the catch, who makes the 20-yard catch and toe taps it in and gets out of bounds as well. Just an excellent throw here and an excellent catch to get them going. That's a 1st down past midfield. At this point, there's 30 seconds left here. Still got their 2 timeouts, mind you. So here we go. Hernandez-Silva on 1st down rolls out right and throws a dart towards the sideline, and that player makes a great catch. Sorry, I couldn't see the receiver jersey there, but that's a huge catch there. That makes it 1st and 18. Kansas Wesleyan now in the red zone with still both their timeouts here. Following that, Brianna Hernandez-Silva runs around and takes a shot into the end zone. Takes a bit too much time here, if you ask me, but does take a shot into the end zone here. And it is just barely missed here, just off the mark. And so that's 8 seconds left. Well, now there's 8 seconds left on the clock because of how much time was taken off there. So that's kind of, that's a little bit of a mistake. I'm not going to lie there. But, you know, hindsight is 2020. We'll talk about that more later here. Anyways, back to the game. 8 seconds left. 2nd and 18 here. Hernandez-Silva tries to throw the out route. It is there, but it is a little overthrown. At this point, it's 3rd down, still 18. About 4 seconds left. So this basically is probably the last play here, unless she gets it out quick. But 20-yard throw is not easy to make here, just like that, especially against a talented Ottawa defense. And so here we go. Brianna Hernandez-Silva rolls all the way out right. To me, in real time, it looks like she gets the ball off here, taking a shot downfield. And the Angel Roman catches the touchdown here. But they go ahead and rule that Brianna Hernandez-Silva got sacked here by DJ Paris. And Ottawa wins 28-20 here. Definitely a huge play. I'm not even going to lie. Like I said, in my notes, it looked like to me that she got the ball out. And I rewatched it a couple of times over, and it's honestly a tough call to make in real time. And on top of, I'm going to also say this as well. You know, the camera angle from where I'm at, you know, Hernandez-Silva is scrambling opposite of that. And so the defender, DJ Paris, is kind of diving. And so her body is definitely covering, you know, where her flags are. It looks like she gets her hands on her flags. Now, whether those flags are pulled or not is another question, you know, but obviously you got to trust the refs here. They got to make a tough call. There's no replay. At least I don't think in the regular season there isn't, because they didn't really look at this one. And that was that, you know, and Ottawa, they go ahead and survive here, winning 28-20 at home. And, you know, that's just a tough go, but Ottawa, they came through here. Gotta give a lot of credit to the coaching staff for sure, keeping this team focused. I think they definitely came into the game a little bit too confident, a little unfocused. They played Cottey right before, and even in that game, you could tell maybe they were a little bit too confident and unfocused in that one. And so they definitely weren't as sharp, but they got it together, which is what matters, you know. And a lot of credit to the coaching staff, the Sauer sisters getting them right, which they usually do, and credit to the offense as well, just making plays, because this Kansas Wesleyan defense, you know, they were scheming up some things and they were getting after them. But at the end of the day, you know, these Ottawa players, they just made more plays, you know, that's what it came down to. And a lot of it, I would say as well, was off script. To the number of times Madison Carrera just ran around and eventually found a receiver in the back of the end zone. It happened a lot, whether it was extra points or touchdowns. Both of those matter in a close game like this. That's what it comes down to. On top of that, even the running around and freestyling before, you know, they score here. Like I said, a lot of those passes to Bailey Hodgins where she's just there on the sideline, you know, and you can always rely on her to get open near the sideline and pass the first down marker. And she does that on a consistent basis. Those are drive savers. You know, those are drive savers. And then a lot of props to Madison Carrera just making it happen. But let's go ahead and talk about the box score here before we talk a little bit more about the game. Madison Carrera, masterclass performance. 26 of 34, 286 yards. Jeez, she only had 8 incompletions. But anyways, 286 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, had a long of 38 here, it looks. So there you go. At least that's what it says on the stat sheet. Was sacked 3 times. So boom. Also had 42 rushing yards, no touchdowns, but was obviously the lead rusher in this one. And then receiving wise, Alyssa Linkus came up huge as well. 11 receptions, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, a couple of those post route plays were definitely big time for her, but they kind of adjusted near the kind of the second half of this game, I would say, having her run a lot more shorter stuff, a lot more of those drags, outs, I guess, just stuff over the middle, right? To really just get a good 5 or 6 yards a pop here, as Kansas Wesleyan was kind of just allowing that, which I'm not mad at that, strategy. You got to do what you got to do to win. So there you go. But right behind Alyssa Linkus, Bailey Hodgins, 7 receptions, 86 yards, a touchdown. She was real key in this one. Jaslyn Camacho, 3 receptions, 24 yards. Mando Scalisi, 3 receptions, 24 yards. Wow, those are exactly the same. Anyways, Maya Quinn, 1 reception for 3 yards, but a key touchdown. She also had that key extra point as well that originally gave Ottawa that 1 point 21-20 lead there. And that was a real tough catch. It's not shown here in the stat sheet, but that was extremely important to this game. Now, talking defense here, lead tackler Abby Brown, as expected, 7 tackles in this one. Suzanne Kaufman had a good game, 5 tackles, also had a pretty key sack there as well. DJ Paris, 2 tackles, and then that key sack at the end to save this game here, because that would have been a touchdown if she didn't pull her flag. So there you go. Now, talking Kansas Wesleyan stats here real quick. Brianna Hernandez-Silva, she played a pretty good game. 23 of 36, 230 yards, passing touchdown, no picks, was sacked 2 times. On the ground, she also led with 83 rushing yards and a touchdown. Kieran DeCure also had 2 rushing yards and a touchdown in this one as they went to work. Lead receiver was also Kieran DeCure, 9 receptions, 106 yards, a touchdown. Angel Roman came up big here, 9 receptions, 65 yards. Kendra Velasquez Monroe had some really key first downs and some check down passes, 3 receptions, 38 yards there. So those are your leaders there. Talking defense, the defense, in my opinion, did a really good job against Ottawa, which is they are the top offense, I would say, in the country right now. But anyways, Lexi Marquez, 12 tackles in this one. Shania Marape, 8 tackles, 3 sacks in this game, which were huge here, just applying a lot of pressure there. Then you have Layla Casillan here. I think, they have her listed twice. That's interesting. But 2 tackles, either 1 sack or 2. I don't know. That has to be a mistake there. But there you go. I mean, hey, this was a tough game. Kansas Wesleyan, they got off to a hot start. Part of it, like I said as well, Ottawa was maybe not the sharpest to start this game. They've had some relatively slow starts, at least compared to last year. It's felt like some relatively slow starts. It kind of caught up to them in this game, as Kansas Wesleyan did have a 14-0 lead at one point. Obviously, didn't matter. Ottawa had to scrape and claw back into it. Still won 28-20, but, a lot of credit to Kansas Wesleyan and their head coach, Melinda Wynn. Game played really well. It was very much a strategic battle, I would say, between these two. Obviously, Ottawa trying to dig out of their own grave here and make up for some of the mistakes they did make in the first half, getting off to a slow start. Kansas Wesleyan just trying to maintain this lead, and they had their chances, and I don't think there were any 4th down plays where they punted that they should have went for, in my opinion. I think all the 4th downs that they went for, I understand, and all the 4th downs they punted, I also understood as well. Because in this game, especially when you're up, you need to run out the clock on Ottawa, and you have to trust your defense. It's a trust thing, And for the most part, this defense definitely did a good job. On offense, I mean, they didn't score at all in the first half, and so obviously that's going to hurt. You got into the red zone at the end of this game, and it came down to a play, like literally maybe a half second, probably shorter, that was short of a touchdown. That obviously has to hurt. I think probably the biggest play here, or I guess the biggest drive that would affect this game, was with about 8 minutes left in the second quarter, where Kansas Wesleyan just went 3 and out. And, one of those plays was because Ottawa sent really good pressure, led by Kaufman and Cerquina there. But you missed an open throw downfield on 3rd down on the post/seam. It's probably one you wanted back. Angel Amaras was open. That's kind of a tough one. I'm not saying they would have scored, but you wouldn't have won 3 and out. And in a game where all these seconds matter, that would have went a long way, and potentially setting them up, going up by 3 scores, and obviously take all the points you could get against the national champs. So there you go, Kansas Wesleyan. I mean, hey, it's just tough at the end of the day. You got to learn from this one. The next time you see them will be in the KCAC tournament. That's probably a win you would probably like more rather than in the regular season, if you could do that again. But I promise you, next time Ottawa plays Kansas Wesleyan, I don't believe they will get off to as slow as a start. Now, Ottawa, hey, I mean, like I said, a lot of credit to them. They grit this one out here. You know what? We'll actually talk more about this in the power ranking section, so I'll save some thoughts for that. Let's go ahead and talk about player of the week, playmaker of the week, and then all the players of the game as well, just reviewing over that as well. Now in this Weber versus FMU game here, player of the game, Caleb Burrows, 7 receptions, 136 receiving yards, receiving touchdown, also had 6 tackles in that one. In the Ottawa versus Cottey game here, I mean, this was a blow-up. I think I'm just going to go with Madison Carrera, 13 of 22, 173 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, also 64 rushing yards. Jeez, has definitely been on a tear as of late. Now moving on to the March 30th games here against Thomas. Definitely a couple people to pick from. I'm going to actually kind of change it just a little bit. I know in my recap, I only said Alexa Wilson, but I also want to shout out Janae Scott as well. Wilson, she had a bunch of touchdowns in this game. She did a good job leading the offense, but Janae Scott, 11 tackles in this one, putting in a lot of work here for Thomas. Definitely got to give her credit. So I'm going to throw her into the running for Playmaker of the Week because I can, So St. Thomas versus Weber. This was a big upset win for St. Thomas. They won 25-14 over Weber here, and I don't believe I have the stats, unfortunately, but definitely gotta go Kaylee Miller. Had a really big touchdown where she just made a bunch of people miss and took it like 40 yards to the house. Was also just having a great game, getting first downs, getting good gains all throughout. So Kaylee Miller of St. Thomas definitely deserves player of the game here. Now, moving on to the April 1st game, St. Thomas versus Reinhardt here. Player of the game absolutely has to be Jada Graham. 1 passing touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns. The hat trick there as far as touchdowns go as they go ahead and take care of Reinhardt. Talking about Midland versus the University of St. Mary here. Player of the game, Casey Thompson, 3 receiving touchdowns at least, and also an interception as Midland just beat St. Mary 48-0 in that one. Now in the Bethel versus Cottey game, this one was actually closer than the score looks. Cottey beating Bethel 18-6, but Amaya Karula having a great game on defense, 2 sacks, playing rusher, I believe, for the first time this season, and then also had 3 passing touchdowns in this game, so that was absolutely huge. In Keiser versus Reinhardt, I didn't really name a player of the game. If anything, it's either Jasmine Roden or Haley Young. I mean, they won by 80, so, there you go. Had 11 passing touchdowns. Well, I think actually 12 touchdowns between the 2 of them, so there you go there. I'll name 2. And then for Ottawa versus Kansas Wesleyan here, and also your Playmaker of the Week, we got Madison Carrera. Look, down 14-0. 128-20. This was a great performance by Madison Carrera, who stayed calm, cool, and collected and found a way to get it done, plain and simple. 26 of 34, 286 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, no turnovers, which was big because I think if there were any turnovers for Ottawa in this game that weren't like a turnover on downs, I don't count that, but any turnovers for Ottawa, this game would have definitely went possibly a little bit different. She also added on a net 42 rushing yards as well in a comeback win at home versus Kansas Wesleyan. So there you go. That is your Playmaker of the Week, Ottawa's quarterback, Madison Carrera. All right, now before we talk power rankings, which isn't going to be the longest segment, at least compared to last week's segment here, I do want to talk about end of the year award front runners, just because we are definitely at least halfway through the season here, and so I kind of want to talk about these end of the year awards. Let me talk about them first. Let me talk about all the awards and all the recognitions that could be received. And so we will do an all Playmaker list again. It's basically this year's version, NAIA's version of an all-American list here. But all Playmaker, we'll take 2 quarterbacks, 1 running back, like 4 receivers, and then a center / blocker / not rusher because there's already a running back, but center / blocker there. And then on defense, we'll take, I believe that is 1 rusher, 3 linebackers, and 4 DBs. Whether it's safeties or corners, doesn't matter. DBs is a pretty general thing there. And so those are all the slots available for our all Playmaker teams. Like I said, think all American there, but it's all Playmakers. And then we will also have an all freshman team, which is made up pretty similarly here. Actually exactly the same. So there you go there. So there will be recognitions for those, and players who don't win an award will at least get recognized in this way. I'm hoping to drop those all Playmaker, all freshman Playmaker list before the final tournament so that you know who to look out for when you're out there. And by the way, just going to announce this right now, we will be sending someone out there this year. Cottey will actually be out there this year, hopefully if everything goes as planned. So we'll be looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to meet some players, looking to potentially get some interviews and whatnot while we're out there. Then obviously he'll cover the games there in person, and then I will most unfortunately likely be at home, and I will be covering the games when I can as a home base type of person. If I could go, I'd definitely love to, but hey, help a brother out is all I'm gonna say. Just keeping it real there. But anyways, there you go. And then talking about end of the year awards, so we have 3 for sure. We have most valuable playmaker, which by the way is Madison Carrera reigning right now. We have offensive playmaker of the year, which I want to say went to Brianna Hernandez Silva. I could be mistaken though. Defensive playmaker of the year, that went to Jada Reese last year. And so we'll have those 3. MVP, which is like the Heisman, then Opoy and Depoy. So there you go. Oh, and I'm tripping. We'll also do freshman of the year as well. I want to say last year it was Addie Osborne out of Ottawa. At least that's who I voted for. I am biased being from Texas, but definitely her from Ottawa was definitely a good candidate last year. But there you go. So MVP, Opoy, Depoy, freshman of the year. Now, let us know, let us know if you want us to do these as well. We'll probably put up a poll. It'll be on Instagram because Twitter is stupid right now. But the poll will be, should we do best position players? So it'd be best quarterback in the country, best running back, best receiver, best rusher, best linebacker, best DB. Should we do those? We definitely can, and it would be a lot of fun to do those as well. But we'll put out a poll for those, and then depending on how those come out, we'll go ahead and talk about those front runners on probably next week's episode. And then so there you go. But right now, let's go ahead and talk about MVP, Opoy, Depoy, and Freshman of the Year front runners. If there's anybody we missed, by the way, go ahead and message us. We'll add them to the list, and we'll start tracking their games here, keeping an eye on their games. What will probably happen is that in a couple weeks, we'll eventually go ahead and narrow down these lists to a final 4 who we believe deserves it. And I would say for these end of the year awards specifically, we will be voting on them after the final tournament. So just definitely keep that in mind. It will be my vote, Cody's vote. Our friends at NAIA Football, I think, got 2 votes as well. And then you, the people, will be our final vote. We will have to figure out a way to do that because, like I said, Twitter is stupid right now. So there you go. but we will find a way to get it done so that we could get those votes out there. But let's go ahead and talk about the MVP candidates here. Naturally, I got to include the winners from last year. In every, it's not just MVP race, but in every end of the year award race here. And so for MVP, Madison Carrera, especially after this last game against Brianna Hernandez Silva and Kansas Wesleyan in that squad, definitely back in the running as well, being the reigning MVP. And then for Warner, we have Cynthia Holmes. Been doing it again this year. She's been a focal point of that offense and defense as well. Out of Keiser, we have Jasmine Roden once more. She's led some pretty tough drives at the end. Obviously had a tough game against Thomas, but I would say she's definitely in the MVP running here. If she has a good postseason, obviously could change. That goes for all of these players, so there you go. And then we have Kayla Burrows. I believe last year she was in the DPOY running, either DPOY or OPOY running. I think she was in the OPOY running. But she is playing excellent this year, doing it all on offense and defense for Weber. So there you go there. But lastly, we have Kansas Wesleyan's Brianna Hernandez Silva. Like I said, was in the OPOY running last year. I think this year there could definitely be at least some sort of conversation about it. And so I'm going to put her name in that MVP race. Now for OPOY, we have Sam Wilson out of Weber. She's been playing lights out. We have Kennedy Foster from Keiser once more, easily one of the top receivers in the entire country, if not the best. We have Jada Graham out of St. Thomas, doing it all on offense, really, as a receiver for sure, getting a lot of yards after catch, but also, every now and then at quarterback, she has been doing her thing, whether she's running the ball or throwing it the few times she has. And then we have Madison Tingen here from Warner, lighting it up, doing her thing, using all those weapons out there, doing a good job. And then we have maybe two players that are a little bit of a surprise. I put Michaela Nunez from Midland. I think she deserves to be in this conversation, hands down. The way she's been able to elevate that Midland offense and give them a pretty good, consistent quarterback out there has been huge, for sure. And then another one that I'm going to go ahead and throw in here, and we'll talk more about rules here after I talk about all the front runners, but I'm going to put in Alexa Wilson, the freshman quarterback from Thomas. Hey, started out the season rough. She's been lighting it up. If she has a good postseason and continues to light it up, I think there is a very good chance for her to win this thing. Like I said, all of these players are front runners, but everyone has favorites. I would say right now, she is definitely near the top for me for OPOY right now. But like I said, a lot could change in half a season, basically. Now, at DPOY, there are a lot to pick from here. Jada Reese is obviously in that conversation. Janae Scott is obviously in that conversation. Really, I could put the entire Thomas defense here. Delva, Jones, all of them. Leah Wood as well. I could put them all in this conversation here. But I think I'm just going to limit it to two players from the same school per category here. That's more of a down the line issue, to be honest with you, but definitely both deserving of this recognition here potentially. And then you have Tashumba Washington from St. Thomas, getting like 1 million interceptions. By the way, I don't have specific stats for everyone because not everyone keeps stats, which kills me, but I know that Tashumba Washington has been playing excellent out there, both at corner and safety, playing a lot more safety this year. So there you go. And then you have Casey Thompson from Midland. Really, Casey Thompson might potentially be an MVP candidate. I'm not going to lie. She's putting in a lot of work as a receiver and as a linebacker, but at linebacker, she's been key for this defense here over at Midland, which is one of the better ones in the country for sure. And then lastly, but not least for sure, we got Abby Brown from Ottawa having a great season. Honestly, the number of times she's led in tackles per game is a lot. Obviously, she's doing her thing, getting a bunch of picks. Definitely maybe a little bit of a dark horse candidate for DPOY here. So there you go. But those are the front runners I have for that for now. Like I said, if you have anybody you want me to add to the list, we will, and we'll keep track of them as we eventually narrow it down to our final four here. Now, For freshman of the year, there are a lot of candidates, a lot of great freshmen here. This list is far from final, but this is just a list of freshmen that I definitely am keeping an eye on before we go ahead and, narrow it down to 4 here. But freshman of the year, let's just go down the lane. Starting with Thomas, Alexa Wilson, and Aaliyah Wood here. Look, both have played excellent. I think both are definitely deserving to be at least in the final 4. Like I said, we'll see how the season goes on here, but both have played well. Aaliyah Wood playing both sides of the football extremely well. Now, I do want to add on a couple players from some new programs. That does include Campbellsville. I think Presley Payne has been outstanding, both on offense and defense. Definitely have to throw her in there. For Reinhardt, Nina Johnson has emerged as a wideout 1. She's had some great plays. I think this last weekend really convinced me of that. I'm not going to lie. She just really turned up, and did her thing. Even if her team's not winning all the time, she's still making plays out there. She still mossed to Shumba Washington that one time, and that is probably the only time that may happen to as great of a DB as her, which, it happens. You're a cornerback. The other player I do want to potentially throw out there as well is Carson Paget. I've been really impressed with what she has done on defense as well. And so obviously a lot of freshmen on that team. Deshae Branham definitely came to mind as well. Joelle Jarrett, if she comes back, hopefully here soon, would definitely come to mind as well. But I think Nina Johnson and Carson Paget are leading it for me. Now, out of Keiser here, I have 2 currently. Sophia Caprio is the one I'm definitely leaning towards more, but Brenna Ramirez is obviously there as well. If she picks it up, she did miss about half the season because she was recovering from an injury. But if she does pick it up, definitely somebody that, will be considered potentially. But I think Sophia Caprio has had an excellent season and also deserves to be on this list. Now, speaking of teams with multiple potential freshman of the year candidates, let me just go through those real quick. Cottey is definitely one. They had a pretty solid recruiting class. Maya Kurula has been big time, whether it's a quarterback, receiver, running back, as a rusher. She's done her thing there. Jolia Johnson has been a really solid receiving option for them and a good option at corner for them, holding it down. So a lot of credit to her. And then Carrie on Cloyd has been a really good rusher for Cottey when she's been out there as well. So those 3 definitely keeping an eye on. We'll probably only pick either 1 or 2 for freshman of the year when narrowing it down, but we'll see. Then FMU has 2 as of right now. I think absolutely Deja Fanning is somebody to be considered. I also actually have her in the DPOY race. I don't know if I mentioned her. I think Erica Johnson is also there as well. We'll come back to that later on in the season. But Deja Fanning, I think, has had a really good season, has applied a lot of pressure, to opposing quarterbacks and has done her job. And then this is really an interesting one, but Eunice Montgomery here, I believe she's a freshman, has only had 2 starts, but has looked pretty solid. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. If she really picks it up and they get a couple wins, she could definitely rise on this list here. And then another team who has a couple freshmen I'm looking at here for freshman of the year is Warner. They obviously have a huge class, but Anna Vincenzini, I would say, is near the top of those that I'm considering for freshman of the year. You also have Amiri Logan. Jenna Marrero has been big time as well. So there you go. And then last but not least, another squad that have a couple freshmen I'm looking at here is Kansas Wesleyan. I believe both Angel Amaras and Karen DeCure are both freshmen, if I'm not mistaken there, and have emerged as, wide out as starters at wide receiver alongside Angel Roman out there and have done a really good job. So there you go. And then just a couple other freshmen to mention. Like I said, there's a lot. St. Thomas's Dominique Parks, corner, running back. She's done a really good job there. Safety valve of that offense. Caitlin Sigmundy out of Weber is one that I'm definitely looking at. More at, I would say, safety than potentially a wide receiver. But she has done a good job at wide receiver here as well, no doubt about it. But at safety, she's really held down her position. Doesn't always show in the stat sheet, but she does a really good job over there. And then obviously, last but not least, we have Ottawa's Tatiana Dos Santos. She has had some really good games, and she will continue to have some good games. Definitely might be someone a lot like Addie Osborne who might rise here at the end and just have an excellent second half of the season. So there you go. But those are all the players we are considering. Now, once more, if you want us to do specific, best quarterback, best running back, best receiver in the country, best DB linebacker rusher, let us know. We'll definitely do a poll on that. And then, let us know if there's any other players you want us to consider. And I think the last thing to just keep in mind is let us know if you would like for players to be able to win multiple awards. Last year, I think we limited it to one player for one award, as in, if you're considered for MVP, you can't also be in the OPOY DPOY running, just because we wanted to show a lot more recognition to a lot of players here, and all that stuff. I think it's definitely a good look to see multiple players from different programs succeeding rather than just one or two, because I think, in my opinion, it shows that, hey, the game's actually growing. It's not just dominated by one or two. It's, you gotta have good players at least at other spots that at least make things interesting. So there you go. Maybe it doesn't matter, but to me, that's just my mindset there. If we do position groups like best, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, then I'd definitely be open. We would for sure have to do, hey, players could win multiple awards. And I think that would definitely be okay doing that. And so definitely a rule we're looking to take away. Let us know your thoughts, message us, all that great stuff. We'd be very appreciative of it. I know a couple people messaged us last year about it, but let's do it again this year. Let's just see what's up with that. But there you go. Those are your end of the year award front runners, and I guess an update on the end of the year awards, which should be really fun moving forward. All right, now let's go ahead and talk power rankings here. It'll be pretty short. There's only really one difference in this power rankings here going into week 7. Last week, week 6, we saw a big difference with Thomas taking the numbers 1 spot. Let's actually go down the line and talk about last week's rankings real quick here. At 1, Thomas. 2, Ottawa. 3, Keiser. 4, Warner. 5, Weber. 6, St. Thomas. 7, Kansas Wesleyan. 8, Midland. 9, FMU. 10, we had Reinhardt. 11, Campbellsville. 12, Cottey. 13, St. Mary's. 14, Bethel. And 15, Milligan. Now, this week here in week 7, the only change is that St. Thomas moves ahead of Weber here, and Weber moves to 6. And so right now, it looks like Milligan at 15 still, 14 at Bethel, 13 Spires, 12 Cottey, 11 Campbellsville, 10 Reinhardt, 9 FMU, 8 Midland, 7 Kansas Wesleyan. At 6 right now is Weber, and at 5 is St. Thomas. And then still the top 4 is the same: 4 Warner, 3 Keiser, 2 Ottawa, 1 Thomas. Now, just talking about the events from this last weekend, look, St. Thomas, they beat Weber, and they beat him pretty handedly here. It got a lot closer at the end than it needed to be, but they beat him, and that's what matters, because a win is a win. Now, if you look at St. Thomas's other games from the season, I mean, Weber blew them out earlier on, but I don't think this is the same team. They made a change at quarterback. I think they're a lot more dangerous. I think Holly Neer is definitely here to stay. She has played really well lately, so a lot of credit to her. Also, potentially someone we might consider for a, end of the year award. We'll see how the season goes. After that, though, played Keiser close, 12-20. Even before that against Thomas, played them relatively close. I think the score isn't as accurate, but they still beat them 26-8, they lost 26-18. And so you have some closer games here for sure. But I think St. Thomas definitely deserves right now to be at number 5. just considering how far they've come. They've played really well so far. Their next big challenge will be against Warner here next week. That'll be on Wednesday. I'll be able to watch that game, so that'll be good. And then after that, they play Thomas. That'll be in a week or so, though, so I'm not really too worried about that just yet. So, boom, there you go. We'll see if St. Thomas continues to rise here. But, hey, their offense is looking good. They're clicking. Defensively, they've always kind of done their job. They continue to do that. So, there you go. Weber at 5. They've hit a little bit of a slump. Weber's at 6 now, excuse me. Weber has hit a bit of a slump here. And, I don't know. They just got to play better is all I got to say. You can't have all these drops. That's number 1, Number 2 is that you can't have self-inflicted wounds here. That means no blown, coverages on defense. You have to pull flags really well. And, you can't get bad penalties. That's what it comes down to, And they just haven't played the best ever since they got blown out by Thomas here. And, of course, it's Thomas. But still, after that, they only scored 12 against FMU. And still, they almost lost that game. And then against St. Thomas, they did score a touchdown at the end to make it 14-0 or 14-25. That's the final score. But I don't know. This offense is just struggling a little bit. Part of it is definitely drops. You gotta clean some of those. Just a lot of self-inflicted wounds. On top of that, I don't know if they're as deep as some of the other teams right now. I know losing Malia Domingo was pretty big, but it's definitely kind of showing just a little bit here. They do get a little bit of a break playing Campbellsville on Tuesday, but then they go to Georgia and play Thomas again on Thursday. And so you have the Campbellsville game to definitely turn things around, gain some confidence, but then you got to get ready for Thomas, and then it doesn't get easier. They also play Keiser the following week, and then following that week they play Warner, which is their senior day. Jesus, that is tough. So their schedule is really hard at the end here. Campbellsville, Thomas, Keiser, Warner. You would love to be 2-2, after this last 4-game stretch, if you are Weber. We'll see. All right, now pretty much nothing else really changes here. Kansas Wesleyan stays at 7. Now, if they would have beat Ottawa, that would have threw us for a loop. They'd probably move to 6, and Weber would move down to 7 and whatnot. At least they would have had to move up for sure, and then Ottawa would have for sure had to potentially move down, but we were discussing that, so I don't know. Look, showed a lot, I would say, pushing Ottawa, because I think a lot of the teams of the Sun Conference would have pushed Ottawa. Would they all beat them? No, but they would have pushed them at least, and they were in a position to beat them. And so Kansas Wesleyan, I think this game really shows that they deserve to be in the same breath of this top 7, honestly, all these Sun Conference teams in Ottawa. I think that really shows that, Now, they played a great game, still lost here. Can they do that consistently? And honestly, the next big game for a chance for them to move up in the power rankings would be against Ottawa. If they meet them in the KCAC tournament, So there you go. You also have Midland behind you as well, who you kind of struggle to beat as well. You still beat him, though, which is what matters. So there you go. And then at number 1, the one thing I do want to talk about before we close this thing is Thomas. They blew out Keiser. That game wasn't close. They were up 19-0 at that point. And then Keiser, in turn, destroyed Reinhardt. And part of it is just kind of getting their mojo back. I definitely understand that, but that's not going to move Keiser up because they beat the number 10 team in the country. Does help their confidence, though, I would imagine, which should be good. It should be good. But I think after what happened this weekend, Thomas beating Keiser and whatnot, staying undefeated at number 1 still, and then Ottawa struggling to beat Kansas Wesleyan, having to come back and beat Kansas Wesleyan, who is the 7th team. I think that definitely kind of just justifies Thomas at 1 right now. Now, does that make them the team to beat? No, that's Ottawa. They have the championships. They do, That's what happens when you're the champs. They're going to always be the team to beat until you beat them, and they're also still undefeated. So there you go. But as far as the number 1 team in the country right now, the team playing the best teams, best competition, and beating them, and not just narrowly beating them, but beating them pretty, handedly, that's Thomas, and so it's gonna be a battle when they finally, meet, because let's keep it real. They are on a crash course for each other, whether it's in the national championship or in the semis or in the postseason. They're on a crash course for each other, because I can't imagine they'd be in the same pool play at all. And so the first time they would meet this year would definitely be when it matters, probably in the gold bracket. Should be in the gold bracket. So that's just what that's going to be. Now you have other teams like Keiser, Warner, Weber, I throw in even St. Thomas as well, that will challenge and could look to play spoiler, but we'll have to see. At the end of the day, you got to win games, and you got to win the ones that matter. And I think that's a good way to go ahead and close up these power rankings in this segment. With that being said, though, thank you so much for rocking with us. Another longer episode, but that's okay. Thank you for rocking with us. Continue to show us love on social media. We appreciate that. And go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Playmakers Corner. Obviously posting updates of games when we can over there, unless it just gets completely out of hand, then we won't be doing that. But, doing what we can to post there and all of that great stuff. We'll be posting our polls and other stuff on Instagram probably to start. But if you want to message us, like I said, about end of the year awards and potentially how we should do things and what you would prefer, let us know. No guarantees that we'll, do it and do what you're suggesting, but we definitely want to see what the vibe is there for sure. So go ahead and follow us there. And then, hey, listen to us. I mean, you're already listening to us, but you can listen to us on all platforms. You can listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube as well. Thank you to all of our YouTube listeners. I know we do have a solid amount there. Hey, leave us a good review, comment, like, subscribe, all that great stuff, and we will go ahead and catch you later.